edition. I'll go by the name of Danny.
I'm Chaz.
Tunde.
And today we're going to be dissecting Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. Right now, there's about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first quarter. Dallas has a 19-18 advantage. We're just going to dive right into what we are seeing right now. Tunde, what are your first impressions of this first quarter?
This is a little bit off the cuff. First impression is that I wish Frank Ntilikina could play offense at the NBA level like 10% better. Because if he could, he'd be a starter pretty much anywhere he wanted to be, but he can't, so he's not. Second impression is Dorian Finney-Smith as hitting catch and shoots. And I think just in general, this series has got to be real frustrating stuff if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan. Obviously being down 3-0 is not, oh my God, Maxi Kleber.
Yeah.
Being down 3-0 is not where you want to be.
He's the future of that Warriors organization. By far. Kuminga, he's the future.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what we're seeing here is over the course of this series, just strictly speaking, Dallas has been able to generate fairly good looks over the course of this series. Games 2 and 3 especially. And, game 2, I think we talked a little bit about shot diversity last episode. Game 2 probably needed a little bit more shot diversity, a little bit too much chucking, especially early shot clock. But, I mean, game 3, you're getting open catch and shoots and just not making it. And, I mean, I think part of that is because Dallas isn't a team that has a super deep rotation. And, for the last month plus, these guys have been they went 6-game series, 7-game series, and they really have like a 7-man rotation. So it's the same 7 people kind of getting run into the ground here. The next time Maxi Kleber makes a shot might be the first one he makes in this season. Like that's a place where they really, you really just got to get some makes.
What are your first impressions of this first quarter, Chaz, of this game 4?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the same things that Tunde said. Another guy is Reggie Bullock that just knocked down a 3-pointer right there. He was 0 for 10, I think, the other night, and him and Maxi Kleber were.
They went 0 for 15.
Yeah, I think they were probably the reason that the Mavericks weren't able to hold on to that game. At least, probably the biggest reason. But, for the Warriors side, it feels like they're getting pretty good shots. Draymond has gotten a couple looks early. He's being aggressive on offense, which, we don't see very often. And, Wiggins has continued his excellent play from last game. I think we'll probably talk about how good he played in game 3, and it looks like he's being aggressive to start.
All-star game, Andrew Wiggins.
Man,
last
game 27.
All-star game, Andrew Wiggins, guys. If you just have to go back like a couple episodes to see like this entire topic on Andrew Wiggins and how some people on this panel say he doesn't deserve to be the all-star starter. But
one good playoff game doesn't mean that you deserve it.
Man, he's Andrew Wiggins is tasked with the hardest defense assignment in this series.
Yep.
Trying to handle and maintain Luka Doncic. And he has forced Luka into some uncharacteristic shots that we've seen Luka not do in the playoffs before playing against Golden State. I will harpen back on what I said a long time ago. Golden State is not the Phoenix Suns. And we had this conversation about who's a better team, who should be in the NBA Finals. And we were talking about the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors. And I made the point that the Golden State Warriors are a better team and better equipped to beat Dallas than the Phoenix Suns are. And I think what happened is we overvalued Phoenix just a smidge, and we overvalued Dallas just a smidge by what they did to Utah, who I never believed in. I'll make that clear. I've never believed in Utah. And a Phoenix Suns team who won 64 games this regular season, and choked in the playoffs because they cannot get it done against that guy. Now, any other opponent other than Luka and the Warriors, they probably will win that series. But since they face a person that they cannot stop, no one on that Phoenix Suns team could handle Luka Doncic. Not even defensive player runner-up Mikal Bridges could handle Luka Doncic.
That's more about Luka than it is.
I know. I'm saying that speaks to Luka's brilliance.
Yeah,
but it also speaks to how the Phoenix Suns, to me, were overrated this entire season because a lot of people, and you were one, Chaz, and Tunde, I think you were one that said that Phoenix could make some noise and Phoenix could potentially get to the NBA Finals. Now, I don't think you picked them, Tunde, to get there.
No, I didn't. I mean, if you recall, what was my
you said Dallas versus Boston.
Thank you.
And that's not going to happen. So just for the record, the Dallas is not making it.
I'm more right than both.
But you're 50% right. You know. So as I was telling you, Chaz, since the beginning of this series, since the beginning of this year, you were so high on Phoenix. You know, and every chance I get, I'm going to try to rub it in because that's just what I do. Of you picking this Phoenix Suns team, I'm going to take a victory lap of you picking that Phoenix Suns team to represent the West in the NBA Finals. So how do you feel about making such an egregious pick and your team going out the way that they went?
I think it was wrong. I don't think it was egregious. I mean, they had 64 wins, so I don't think I was going off on a ledge. But I think
you did based on that performance. I think you went off deep ledge. Like I think you dive off the ledge.
I think I drowned. I don't think I was off on a deep ledge. I don't like it seemed like it was actually probably the safest pick.
I think you can be wrong.
It ended up being wrong, but
no, I'm not necessarily, and I'm just having fun here, but I was right. But
for sure.
Obviously I know that Phoenix was one of the teams to beat in the Western Conference, and they looked at heads and shoulders better than in the second place opponent, which is the Memphis Grizzlies. They just looked better than anyone in the Western Conference. But I believe that regular season, I'm not saying that it didn't matter, but I'm saying that doesn't translate to playoff success. And those 64 wins that they got in the regular season did not translate to playoff success. I mean, they barely got past the Hornets. Then they got trounced by the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm sorry. It was the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm sorry. I say the Hornets, you know. So
take me back to 2006 and everybody wore triple XL t-shirts then.
Yeah, they're both equally as bad. So the Hornets and the Pelicans are both equally as bad. So I wasn't that high on Phoenix to begin with, but what Dallas did, I can't say I was overly surprised, but I was shocked. Like, I don't know if you guys remember our group text, but I'm like, after a day, I'm like, I am still shocked that happened.
I'm still shocked, even.
Yeah, and I'm still shocked to this day. Like
that happened Phoenix, like that, yeah.
Yeah, that Phoenix actually choked away that series, and they did it in such a volatile fashion that Luka seemed like he snatched her heart. And that's more has to do with the greatness of Luka than anything. But getting back to this, go ahead, Chas.
Well, I will say that I feel like it did bring out a couple of flaws that, you know, the Suns team really does have. And you know, that's their inability.
What are some of those flaws that you've seen since that series happened, since that, you know, them losing in Game 7 in the epic fashion the way that they did? What were some of the flaws that you saw that they need to address in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, the number one that we've talked about it a couple of times, you know, within the last couple of weeks is that they kind of made, you know, the Suns look a lot like the Utah Jazz. They made DeAndre Ayton look a lot like Rudy Gobert. You have, you know, we've talked about you have to have the ability to play multiple ways. And once, you know, the Mavericks spread out Phoenix, especially in Game 6 and Game 7, but really those, you know, 4 out of those last 5 games, Phoenix had no answer for it. And that's just something you can't do to the Warriors. You know, if you try and spread out the Warriors, they'll switch defenses, they'll switch lineups, they'll throw something else at you. they always have a counter punch. And that's something that Phoenix wasn't able to have. As good as Phoenix was during the regular season, even at times during the postseason, they never were able to do it, in a different way. They never had that versatility that a team like Golden State does.
But see, it speaks volumes to me because clearly Phoenix had the better team, and clearly Dallas had the better player. Luka was by far the best player in that series, and it wasn't close.
Oh, it wasn't close.
And what bothers me is that it doesn't necessarily bother me. I just feel so bad for Chris Paul. And I know he played terrible. He played atrocious in 5 games.
It's hard for him not to take a lot of that blame as well.
Absolutely. But I just look at that team and I'm saying, and I think to myself, like, that's the window. Like that too. That was the window's over. Like you have 2 years.
They bring back that same roster?
No, you cannot. You cannot bring back that same roster.
Like minimal tweaks, but you bring back Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, you still think the window's closed next season?
You bring back Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, you have Booker. You still have to you have your core, but you still have to make some changes. The problem is that Chris Paul is still their best player. That's the problem. In our eyes, we know that Devin Booker. In our eyes, we know it's Devin Booker. But it seems like to that Phoenix Suns team, it's Chris Paul. It cannot still run through Chris Paul. It has to run through Devin Booker. He needs to take the bull by the horn, and he needs to be unequivocally their best player. And it needs to be no discussion. And there needs to be no topic. People were having Chris Paul in the MVP conversation this year. They were having Devin Booker and Chris Paul in the MVP conversation. Chris Paul was in the MVP conversation last year. So you have 2 individuals that's in the MVP conversation, and Devin Booker, who is your young star, who is your young stud, needs to be able to take the bull by the horn and say, okay, I know Chris Paul is an all-time great point guard. I know he's one of the greatest of all time, but I need to lead this team, and I need to have everyone else follows me. The problem is you cannot have 2 physical dominant leaders that I think that they're running into that problem where some people are saying, okay, is it Chris Paul or is it Booker? And that's, to me, that's internal when it comes to your organization. So they have a lot to figure out, but I think the window is closed for them. I think they had a 2-year gap in which that window is closed. I mean, no one expected, other than me probably, no one expected the Warriors to be this good this fast. And I know a lot of people, we're saying maybe, we get Clay back, and no one expected this Jordan Poole. I don't care what anyone say. Maybe we get Clay back, we get pieces here that they could be maybe in contention for, next year and years to come. No one expected them to be this good, this fast, this soon. And the fact that Phoenix would have their best opportunity to beat this version of the Warriors this year, I think they blew it, because I think next year there's no way that Phoenix Suns team beat this Warrior team. With Clay having 2 years under his belt from post-injury, from Steph having a historic shooting slump this year that seemed like for 4 months that he just now really got out of, to the inconsistencies of your Kumingas, to some degree Jordan Poole, but he's turned it on in his playoffs, and he's starting to get back to that level of a player. It seems like he's still struggling a little bit, but the Warriors still has some question marks that I think Phoenix would have been able to expose in the Western Conference Finals. But the fact that the Warriors are able to figure it out right now, and Phoenix Suns, they're at home, I don't see how Phoenix is able to compete with the Warriors next year and for years to come, knowing that the Warriors are going to continue to build on their young guys and their core is still there. I mean, their window is reopening. Like, this is another 4 or 5 year run that the Warriors potentially can have. And I don't see Phoenix being able to knock that off or knock them off in that window span.
You're on mute, Tunde.
Tunde, you're on mute. Your thoughts? Yeah, you were on mute that whole time. I think you were talking, but you were on mute that whole time.
Oh, I said 37 things. I thought you was just powering past me. That's crazy.
No, you were on mute. Go ahead, go for it.
We're all here with you the whole time. Yeah, I think it's crazy that you said that, Chris Paul is arguably the Suns' best player. That shit is
no, to me, I'm not. To us, all 3 of us on this panel, on this podcast, we know that Devin Booker is the best player. But it seemed like there's still a contradiction on who's the leader and the best player on that Phoenix Suns team. Because
that's because they rely on Chris Paul more than they do.
But that's a problem though. It's not bad to rely on Chris Paul, but you're relying on him heavily. It's too much. He cannot do all of that at 37.
You saw it, like by the end of that series, he couldn't do it. And Booker, at times he can, but he wasn't able to in Game 7.
Booker has to be able to carry the load that Chris Paul can no longer do. Chris Paul is 37 years old. He can only do so much now. I mean, you cannot ask him to carry everything anymore.
I mean, I think Devin Booker has places in his game to improve. But I think he can improve the playmaking. I think he's, such a good scorer. He's going to see too committed to the ball. So, that's, you watch Steph. You watch somebody like Steph. Steph is great when he gets too committed to the ball at passing out of that. This is also where I'll say that part of that is that the Warriors have for years surrounded Steph with, guys with high IQs who are really good passers. Like a, Draymond Green or an Andre Iguodala. And I don't think that Devin Booker's got a big who can really function as an outlet like that. At least not a healthy one. I think Dario Saric could, potentially be that kind of connecting piece, but he hasn't been healthy in, the better part of a year plus now.
But do you need that though?
Yes. I think it makes
a small ball 5, yeah.
It makes a big difference in your roster construction. I think the Portland Trailblazers are a team who is a great example of that. They've had, for years they had a dynamic scoring backcourt. But one of the things they're really missing is a big who could, be a connecting piece when they got too committed to the ball.
But I just don't want to use that as an excuse of the Warriors have this and another team don't. I mean, we can't use that as an excuse. I mean, you can't say the Warriors have Draymond Green and other teams don't. You have to figure out how to be better. You have to figure out how to get a person similar. You have to figure out something, but you can't use that as a knock for the Warriors to try to uplift another organization. Because to be honest, I mean, if Portland still has someone like Draymond, they were still going to lose because Steph is better than Dame and Clay is better than CJ. When it came down to it, the backcourt was just better.
Sure. I mean, I don't disagree with the last part of it. But like somebody like Aaron Gordon would have made the Blazers like exponentially better, or somebody like Blake Griffin would have made the exponentially better just because
Blake Griffin.
It's not a knock on the Warriors organization. I mean, they've done a great job roster building. If anything, it's that they're smarter than everybody. They make good decisions and they develop talent. But having and it doesn't need to be a Draymond Green level playmaker. I mean, I think outside of Nikola Jokic, Draymond Green is probably the gold standard for playmaking among bigs in this league. But having somebody like that, I think would greatly help the Suns, and it's something they don't have right now. I think I'm even more validated in that line of thinking because reportedly they tried to trade for Domantas Sabonis at the trade deadline, and he profiles as that exact kind of player that I'm talking about right now. That being said, I think Devin Booker can stand to improve the playmaking aspects of his game. I also think that, something like just shooting consistently with more range, so not just shooting threes, but, being willing to take the deep ones, the 30 to 35 range, and being able to be a threat from there consistently is something that will, it stretches defenses to a new level. It'll give them even more room to work with. Just in general, I think he's probably got to take more threes. The Suns were very, very mid-range heavy. And in fairness, that's Chris Paul. It's a lot of Chris Paul's game. It's a lot of Devin Booker's game. I don't think you want to take that away from them. I think just expanding the floor a little bit would just only serve to make everything easier for everybody else. And I mean, Devin Booker is a fantastic shooter. I don't think this is a thing you'd have a problem with. So
Yes.
there's some things, you know, you go back to the drawing board, you do your work in the summer, you get in the gym, you get better. But like, he's a great player now, and the future is still very bright for him. And the future is probably still pretty bright for the Phoenix Suns. I think this offseason will be fun because I'm a bit curious in what direction they go. Just from the reports we're reading now, it does not sound likely that DeAndre Ayton is on that team next year. But like, where do you go from there? He's not a full free agent. He's a restricted free agent. So, you know, do we get a sign and trade? But that's kind of where I think this is heading. But for who and for what?
Yeah. You are listening to the Spoken Truth podcast on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube at Spoken Truth. You can also follow us on Spotify. All you gotta do is type in Spoken Truth podcast in your search engine. Yeah, we're gonna talk about. Welcome back to the Spoken Truth podcast, guys. And we're going to jump back into this live edition of this podcast featuring the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Dallas Mavericks had jumped out to a lead right now with about 7 minutes left in the second quarter, 41-33. Chaz, the Mavs, others are starting to hit their shots. Those shots were not falling in game 3. What has been the difference makers of them being able to make these wide open shots that they were missing in game 3?
I mean, honestly, it seems like they're getting very similar shot quality. I thought a lot of those shots in game 3 were makeable shots. They were shots that Reggie Bullock would normally make. But they just didn't go down for whatever reason at an extreme rate too. I mean, 0 for 10 is something that you don't see from, you know, a guy of his caliber. Max Kleber, the same thing, 0 for 5. Even Dorian Finney-Smith, I think all 3 of those guys have played well so far tonight. That's been a big reason why they have a 43-33 lead. But I don't know. I want to get your guys' perspective on it. It also doesn't really seem like the full intensity is there for the Warriors. You know, what do you think of Golden State's performance so far, down by 10 right now?
For me, I think that the Warriors have a tendency of turning it on and turning it off at times when they're facing an opponent. In this situation, no one seems to be as aggressive as they've been the first 3 games. Wiggins doesn't seem to be asserting himself right now. Steph Curry is not asserting himself right now. Klay Thompson is doing the same thing Klay Thompson has been doing the last 6 or 7 games or so, jacking up shots. Klay Thompson is shooting 27% from the 3. 27% from the 3. This man is a career 39-40% three-point shooter. He's just been abysmal in this series and in the last series. The Warriors, as we see a Turner right there, just carelessly turning the ball over. Steph is the number 1 at doing that on that team. He makes the silly behind-the-back passes. He just makes the careless passes. I mean, it just so much.
What happened there? Did he think Klay was going to turn around for the?
I don't know what he was thinking in that instance. It's almost like he just threw it to the other opponent almost. So
yeah, I know Steph does, you know, have a tendency to have some careless turnovers, but that's going to happen when you have the ball in his hands so much, and he takes so much risk. He does have 10 points, 2 assists. He is having a good night. Klay, on the other hand, like you said, he's 0 for 3 from 3, 0 for 4 from the field. So, you know, Klay getting going is definitely something to watch.
Yeah. What is what is Steph's field goal percentage? What is he shooting?
He is
Good question.
3 for 5, 1 for 1 from 3.
3 for 5, 1 for 1 from 3. Yeah, so it's not bad. And as we've seen in this series, no lead is safe with the Warriors. So this 12-point lead is really not a big margin, just because it is still the middle of the second quarter. The Warriors just making a little run to end this at halftime could go in their favor, because we all know that the third quarter belongs to the Warriors. It might as well just be a separate team. It might as well be a 31st team in the third quarter, because that team just comes out and obliterates opponents. And they've won every single third quarter in this series. I don't expect anything to be different. Again, I expect Luka to be great. but that is not enough to, obviously win this series. But I think this will be a sweep tonight. So I think a lot of people are thinking that, having that mentality, a lot of people that I spoke with. But again, the Warriors do tend to play down to their opponent, especially when they're up. So I definitely would like to get Tunde's point on that, just because he picked the Mavs to win this series. And what are you seeing from them and how they came out and played? And why is Damian Lee on the court? I thought he lost his minutes. I just noticed he was on the court. I thought he lost his minutes.
He was terrible the other night.
Which question?
Oh my goodness! Why is he on the court?
It was crazy. I've never seen somebody basically lose a game in 5 minutes in the second quarter. That shit was wild.
He was a minus 12 in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And it wasn't even like even besides the fact that if you're a minus 12 in 5 minutes, like it was you, like you didn't need the plus minus to know it was him.
Yeah, it definitely was him. You just saw him on the floor, and you knew it was him. Like, oh, Damian Lee is on the floor, and like, why?
It was misrotation. It's misrotations. It's honestly like the fact that he really only has like one bankable skill for he has one like high level bankable skill for this Warriors team, and he's not the guy that does it the best out of all of the bench guys. So it's like, that's shooting. It's like, why do these minutes go to him? Like you can live with if you think Moses Moody is a slightly worse shooter than Damian Lee, you can live with Moses Moody minutes because Moses Moody can survive on the court defensively. Damian Lee. But anyway, what I'm seeing from Dallas tonight is it's really just a lot of what we saw in Game 2 and Game 3, and they're making shots. I will say one thing we're seeing at a higher level, seeing them do at a higher level tonight is that, this is a team that plays off of Luka Doncic primarily, and it's get in the lane, create an advantage, and then he's either looking to finish or it's a swing, to somebody else. So off of those swings and those extra passes in Game 1, in Game 3, or in Game 2 and Game 3 specifically, we're getting exclusively 3-point shot attempts. I think a lot of which were good shot attempts, but some of which you would like to see a little bit more, them come with a little bit more force in trying to get 2 feet in the paint, or shot fake, one dribble mid range. So I think what we've gotten tonight from Dallas is, and Frank hitting threes, good Lord. I think what we've gotten a lot of tonight from Dallas is the guys like Dorian Finney-Smith have been able to catch the ball, rip through.
They're 11 and 20 from 3-point range.
Yeah, and go finish in the lane.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but the reason to me why this doesn't scare me for a person that's rooting for the Warriors is that they shot so great. I think they shot 55%. No, they shot it better than that. I think they were like almost 60% in Game 3 in the first half. So they were excellent from 3-point range in the first half, but couldn't buy a 3 in the second half. So to me, if I'm the Warriors, I got to stay afloat. I got to just hover around that 10-8. If I can get it to single digits, that's a win-win. But because the way that the recipe of how this game is looking is how Game 3 played. And Dallas seems to make everything right now. But when it came to the second half, it seemed like that rim shrunk more and more and more. So if I'm the Warriors, if I'm Steve, I
was going to say the same thing happened in Game 2 as well.
Yeah. So if I'm the Warriors, I just got to get it down to 10, maybe get it down to 8. Coming, going to the third quarter, manageable lead. And, they came back from 19 at halftime. So getting it down to almost single digits is a win for that Warriors team. So if I'm Steve Kerr, I'm saying, all right, guys, they've outplayed us this first half. Let's go. Let's get this down to 10-8. Let's go back and refocus at halftime. Because the shots that they're getting right now, we know from history that they're not going to hit at this high clip that they've been hitting in the first quarter.
They might be able to do it for the whole game.
They might, but we have yet to see it this series.
And I know we say we've yet to see it this series, but like it's a pretty high shot quality on average. Like it's a lot of, like these threes are not. There's not a ton of step back threes. They're not they're not like super difficult makes. It's like Dorian Finney-Smith is catching and shooting the ball in the corner. Like Reggie Bullock is catching and shooting the ball on the wing. Those are really good shots for really good shooters. I think you can trust that though they should make those at a pretty high clip. They keep looks.
Chaz, so do you think they could keep this up? This impressive shooting? They're 12 for 20. Do you think they could keep that up going into the third and fourth quarter?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I don't think they have to shoot at a 60% clip to win this game, given they're already up by 14. They could shoot slightly worse in that second half and still be able to win. But they just have to make sure that they keep their foot on the pedal because, like you said, Golden State is going to come out aggressive in that third quarter, try and make a run and get back into it. But, I mean, the Warriors have to be better on defense if they are going to win this game because allowing, the 12 three-pointers, 56 points already, they're probably going to get, close to 65, 70 points in this first half. And that's not a recipe to win.
And Luka's 3 for 11, so it's not like he's killing you. It's the others that's doing a lot of this heavy lifting, which bodes well for Dallas because Luka, he knows that he can rely on his others right now to be able to make makeable shots, and he can turn it on slowly but surely come third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, usually it's the other way around where he, gets off to the quick start and then they kind of rely on their other guys to carry them between those middle quarters. But when the guys shoot, good from the tip off, then it really helps them. Obviously up 58-45 right now.
Yeah, 13-point lead for the Dallas Mavericks. What about 2.5 minutes left in this first half? So now that we've seen almost a half of this, this basketball game, what do we think the Warriors are doing other than not playing as aggressive and not playing well on defense? If you're Steve Kerr, Tunde, what are the adjustments you're making for Golden State to get us back in this game?
So it's tough because from a personnel perspective, I don't like right now you aren't super happy about the Warriors defensive personnel. And this is also where so step one, it's like I hate to make it sound like this, but like Damian Lee can't be on the court.
I think we know that.
Play Moses Moody.
Yeah.
Moody and Kuminga. But so that's like step one. I don't even think it's that he's been egregious tonight. But just in general.
They're like brothers-in-law, I think.
Yeah,
they're brothers-in-law. I think that's the reason he's still on the team, honestly.
Okay, that shouldn't be the reason he's in the game, though.
I know, right?
Get a roster spot.
I know. I literally think that's the reason why he's still on the team. But there's no way Damian Lee should still be in this game.
He's not at this point. But like, if you watch the Warriors during their the season that led to them being able to mistakenly draft James Wiseman.
Did you say mistakenly?
I did, yes. Mistakenly draft James Wiseman.
Even if he
are
you saying Wiseman a bust?
I mean, I don't want to say all that. It's like this was year 2. I won't do that to him. I was and Chaz, you'll recall this as we've talked about this quite a few times. I was never as enamored with James Wiseman as the general public was. Never. Yeah. So I mean, at this point, he hasn't really been able to. He hasn't, changed my mind on that. Although
Shit, he hasn't
He
played.
was hurt all year, so
Yeah.
that's not his fault. And anyways, enough about James Wiseman. James Wiseman isn't playing tonight. The Warriors, the Warriors defensive personnel is part of why I picked against them in this series. So like Jordan Poole is getting run through right now. And he's getting involved in pretty much every action the Mavericks can involve him in, whether it's a pick and roll. Dallas really doesn't want to switch that, so they're doubling the ball or you're getting a hard hedge. Off that hard hedge, you're getting guys like Maxi Kleber, Davis Bertans, who are they're not even really setting the screen. They're slipping it or they're ghosting it, relocating for three. And then once they relocate for three, the rest of the possession, as a defense, you're scrambling. The offense has the advantage. Now you're scrambling. You're trying to catch up to that. And that's where I think this game so far is where Dallas is winning this game.
Mm-hmm.
Games 2 and 3, like I said before, it was a three out of those situations every single time. Tonight we're seeing a little bit more shot diversity. We're seeing guys again like Dorian Finney-Smith. We've seen him do it 2 or 3 times. Catch, rip, attack the basket. In some of those situations, you have somebody flying out at you flying out at you and they're out of control on the contest. You give them a little up fake, you just rip through, you just go by, go finish at the rim, get you a layup.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm the Warriors, I don't know that we have a great remedy for this problem, actually. I think the remedy for the problem is probably what we've seen them do at several points within this series, which is going zone.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some an extended look at them going zone in the second half.
Yeah, I think when Kerr made that decision in that third quarter of Game 3, not only were they playing one zone, but they were going in and out from a 2-3 to a box and one. Mm-hmm. Mixing in different man coverages as well. Like I think Kerr was just trying to give them as many looks as possible. He was trying to make it different on possession by possession, so they had something to figure out almost every single time down. You don't want to give them the same look probably more than three times in a row. And it seemed like that really threw them out of that rhythm in Game 3. So maybe we see something like that in Game 4. After Mavericks having that happen to them, hopefully Jason Kidd would have an ability to try and fight, counterpunch that. So maybe we'll see that in the second half, but I don't know how much that Kerr is going to, want to do. They're already down by 15. Do you think that's something that he kind of saves for the second half, or do you think if he was going to do it tonight, he would have already tried it?
I think it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, I think this game is well in reason. 15 points. I mean, it's the second half of basketball, man, left. 15 points in the NBA is not much. Especially when you have the firepower that the Golden State has. So, I mean, to me, I always said no lead is safe when you're playing against a team that has lethal weapons like they have. So, I don't like the way they have been playing. I don't like the way that they've been playing on defense. But the same point that you were talking about earlier, Tunde, about defense is the same reason why they're coming after Luka every single time. Because I'm sorry, they just called a double. My bad. Rarely see doubles in the NBA, so I'm shocked when they ever call it. So just how they're coming attacking Jordan Poole in their offensive sets, they're hunting Luka on their offensive sets. So when your best player is being put in every single pick and roll imaginable, I mean, it's going to wear on him. It's going to force others to beat us. And so far that has worked in Dallas' favor because the others have beat them. But right now, if I'm the Warriors, I'm saying, okay, we're down. I think they're down 14 right now, 14, 15. 15. I just glanced at it real quick. Now they're down 15. Now this is what we're going to do. So the third quarter are known. If I'm Jason Kidd, I'm saying I know that this team is going to come out explosive in the third quarter. We have to figure out how to stop them, A, or B, how to weather their storm and still come out of that storm with the lead. Because if you give that lead away in the third quarter, this game is over. So Dallas, they know the lead. They know the storm's coming. So they have to be able to weather that initial storm in the third quarter from the Warriors. If they do that and still being able to hit their shots, Dallas should come out of here with this win. If they don't, Dallas is going to get swept. And Luka, again, he's 4 for 12 right now. So he's not having an overly impressive game. So I expect that offense to come in the third and fourth quarter. He scored 20 plus in the fourth quarter the other game. He's going to need to do that again. But he needs to do that in crunch situations. He scored 20 points when it really wasn't close. So I need him to show up in the fourth quarter when it matters, because I have a feeling that they're going to need to close out this game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're right. I think the Warriors are going to come out, with that intensity that we see out of them a lot in that second half. And I assume that they're going to get back into this. I think it's probably going to be a single-digit game going to the fourth quarter, and then we'll really see, who's going to be able to take this game. Coming into tonight, I thought there was a real possibility that the Warriors win it, but I was leaning the Mavericks to extend it to 5. Up 15 at the half. I'm still going to stick with that. But it's still a game that is within reach for the Warriors. So the Mavericks really have to come out in this second half and make sure that they take care of it.
When you're in this type of situation, and you theoretically, if the Warriors were to win this game tonight, they would have about a week of rest before the NBA Finals. When you're looking at stuff like that, does that matter when you're talking about messing up your team's rhythm and getting them out of sorts of having so many days off? Or at this point in time, I think everyone needs rest. So what are your initial impressions on, if they do close it out tonight, that it's that long extended rest that they would get before game 1 of the NBA Finals, which is June 2nd, by the way, guys, for those listening out there. First NBA Final games is going to be June 2nd, and we will have live coverage of that game.
So is that next Thursday, right?
It's next Thursday, yeah. So if they win tonight, they will have, I think it would be a full week of rest.
More than a week.
More than a week of rest, yeah. So is that too much? If I'm the Warriors, is that too much? Or how do you deal with that situation? If you're the coach. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I feel like you kind of worry about, but it's more something that you might see some rust in game 1 of the finals, but I don't really think that's something to worry about. If you have a chance to end a series, you always want to do it. Even if you are going to have, an extended period of rest, you never want to have to go home and play game 5, potentially put somebody else in danger of getting hurt or whatever the case may be. You just never want to take that chance. So I think you just, you wrap it up tonight. You deal with the problems that a long rest does cause, because there are issues with that. If you have 8-9 days off, whatever it is, like there are going to be things that you have to deal with, but it's better than the alternative.
Mm-hmm. You are listening to the Spoken Truth podcast live on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube at Spoken Truth, and you can also follow us on Spotify. All you gotta do is type in Spoken Truth podcast in your search engine.
So,
what's up, Tunde?
Nope, never mind.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Spoken Truth podcast as we continue to cover Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. We are currently right now at halftime with the Dallas Mavericks having a 15-point lead, and we're seeing how this game is kind of playing out a little bit. We're going to shift gears a little bit away from the game while they do their thing. We're going to come back to it in the third quarter. I wanted to touch on some potentials that this NBA season could potentially have. So we know that there's 4 teams remaining in this playoffs. Only one could be an NBA champion. I've proposed this question so many times, and every single time it seems to be a different answer. Who has the most to gain from winning an NBA championship this year?
Man. So from the teams that are still left over, and this is again with player, right? Like what player?
Yes. Yes.
Ah, man. I think I usually try to give an answer that isn't the very obvious one, like for instance, like Steph Curry.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Luka Doncic here. I think a championship for Luka means that I mean we look at this early portion of his career and like as of right now he's on a per game average. I want to say he's he's in the history of the NBA. He's number one.
Second. He's second to Michael Jordan.
I know
33.
33. I know at some point he was number one. Now I'm hearing he's number two.
Yes.
For most points per game average in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And winning a championship at age 23, and I mean we start to have some really interesting conversations about how people will view his legacy. I think.
Mm-hmm. Where does that put him? I know that's so early. Where would that theoretically put him? Where would you start to rank him if he was to capture an NBA championship this year? I know it's premature.
I don't know. The top 5 would have to become a top 6, I guess.
Are you talking about in the NBA today?
Yeah, in the NBA.
Okay, yeah.
Please don't ask me to try to figure this out right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
there have to be a lot of thought put into this. Between in no order. LeBron, Giannis, Steph, Jokic, and Embiid, and then adding Luka to that equation. Which I mean, if we're being honest, he's probably already. Probably already. If there's a 6th guy, it's probably him. Yeah, I don't want to have to try to figure that out.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why I always propose this question, because it's so difficult to try to get an answer right now, especially with a player still rewriting history, because every single game these players could go out and they control their own narrative. So it's so fascinating how a narrative can change from game to game, and an individual winning a championship, how that affects, good or, obviously, we count finals MVPs as a beacon of, greatness. So if a person wins an MVP of a championship without a finals MVP, how does that affect, their legacy and so forth like that? So I think I always propose this question because it's fascinating that almost every single time you guys give a different answer. And it's not wrong. It just always looking a little premature of saying, okay, if this happens, this guy enters this conversation, or this guy starts to itch up there with being one of the best players in the NBA. So it's fascinating. So you went with Luka Doncic, and I totally 100% agree. Chas, who would you say has the most to gain from an NBA championship this year?
Yeah, I mean, legacy speaking, I think it kind of has to be Steph Curry now, just because he's the only guy, left in the playoffs that's even on the NBA 75. So he's probably the only guy that would even really see, a
77 Klay Thompson. Book it.
77. Yeah, and I think Klay and
Egregious.
Draymond, I think, another championship for Klay and Draymond would do a lot for their legacies too, but they're already solidified as Hall of Famers. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much would really take them to the next level. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Curry, you give Curry a 6th championship, and there's only been, I think, 14 guys that have been at that
4th championship.
6 finals.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, if he gets to his 6 finals, I think he's in a different discussion. Then he's there with Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, there's a lot of guys that haven't been to that many amount of finals. Let alone guys like LeBron and Kareem and Bill Russell, who have been to double digits. But I mean, you get to that 6th, and I feel like that's kind of a level up. Other guys haven't been able to do that, like Larry Bird even. But somebody, I'll give out a second name too that I think could see a lot. not really legacy speaking, but more perception wise. And I would say that's Andrew Wiggins. He's kind of been a player that a lot of people kind of use that as a scapegoat at times in Minnesota. I mean, I think it was hard for him to have the expectation to be a number one option.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It took him a little bit longer, I think, to get to this spot than most people would have liked. But it was a tough environment. Maybe he wasn't mature enough as he could have been, or he didn't, do the things on the court and off the court that people wanted a number one pick to do. But I think, he has found a spot. He's found a home, at least for the time being, in this system. And, he's not always consistent, but I feel like if he was to bring a championship, and, he's the fourth or fifth player, not that, he's going to be the guy that wins them the championship, but he is an important piece to this team. And if he did get one, it wouldn't solidify himself, to be the number one pick, but I feel like it would do a lot for how people see him around the league.
And I think the problem is that we always look at, okay, the number one guy has to be, the face of an organization. They have to be the best player, on the best team. That kind of those scenarios is never really the case, because for one, you get drafted to almost an awful team to begin with. It's very rare that you get drafted to a semi-decent team if you're the number one overall pick. And two, it's not for everyone. Andrew Wiggins is not a number one guy, and that's okay. He's meant to be a third, fourth option. That's his role. He thrives in that type of role. So it's not for everyone. And people label him a bust. I'm like, no, he's not a bust. He just isn't a number one. And it's okay not to be a number one.
Yeah, and I think if you fail to meet expectation, all you can really do is find a role and excel in that. And that's something I feel like he's done.
Well, he averaged 20 points for 3 consecutive years. So, and people still looked at him as a bust because Minnesota wasn't going anywhere.
Well,
so
he was chucking too.
Say it again.
I said he was chucking too. Like there was a lot of he was shooting 25 shots.
He definitely was. And I'm like, his shot volume is up, his shot selection is up. It's like he's like, we're going to die by me, essentially. I'm going to take every big shot. I'm going to take all the shots. That's not his game. I don't think it's ever been his game. I think he thrives in a situation where he could play defense. I think he thrives in a situation where the pressure of him being a number one option is not on him. Because again, that's not for everyone. And I keep hopping it. It's because it's not. Everyone is not meant to be a number one. If they were, there would be hella number ones, and which is not. So everyone is not meant for that role. And he's great in the role that he plays for the Warriors. He's the fourth, fifth, sometimes best player on the team. And when your fifth player can get you 20, oh, you're a problem. So I think I agree with both of you that winning a championship respectively for each player would do wonders for these players and for Luka's legacy. Because I think Luka, he continues on this path. I mean, I don't know how he doesn't enter a top 20 conversation. If Luka continues on his trajectory and it continues to get better, I don't know how you keep him out of conversation. Because I'm going to go on a limb of all time.
I know, but like how soon are you talking? Because he's not anywhere.
Oh, I'm talking 5-10 years.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking he's going to win.
I think he has that potential for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to win multiple regular season MVPs. I think he's going to win. I know he's going to win regular season MVPs. I believe he's going to eventually win a championship. I do think in the next 10 years he will win one.
Nice.
So I do think the way that he scores, I think he still needs to improve on the defensive end. That's a big weakness for him, but he covers a lot of base because he's a tremendous offensive player. So his trajectory, his upside is exceptional. So in the next 10 years, I do think we will be talking about, okay, Luka has entered that conversation of a top 20 player of all time, because I think he has that trajectory in his career. But for this season, I'm going to say it again. Stephen Curry has the most to gain, period. If he wins another championship, if he wins his first ever Finals MVP, Steph Curry will enter the conversation of top 10 of all time. You will have to remove someone from that top 10. I don't know who you're removing. I don't know what the debate will be. You're going to have to move. So someone's got to step aside. Oscar Robertson, Dr. J. Someone has to move.
Hakeem, yeah, somebody's going to get bumped out.
Like, Hakeem not going anywhere. But
I think
I don't know. I don't know.
9 or 10 for me. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. He's going to have to. He might have to move. But
and if Curry has 4 championships, 2-time MVP, I feel
in the
like
Finals MVP.
I think there's a pretty easy argument that he's better.
I don't know how anyone realistically can make the argument that Steph Curry is not a top 10 player. If he does what I think he will do this season, I don't feasibly know how you make the argument that he's not a top 10 player. So the problem becomes, who do you move? Because that's where the issue becomes. So you just go MJ, you go Magic, you go Bird, you go Kobe, that's 4, you go Shaq, that's 5. Duncan, Bird, I think I said Bird already. You're at 6 already. Kareem, Wilt, 7. I mean, Hakeem, the list starts to get crowded.
Steph's not over Bill Russell, is he?
I think I said Bill. Didn't I say Russell?
I don't know if you did, but I feel like
that's 8. That's 8. So we're at 8 right now.
He's somebody that's pretty close to. I mean, I know some people have them like in their top 4 or 5. I have them closer to 10. So I feel like Steph, could potentially catch him someday. But him and Wilt are guys that I feel like it's going to be hard for Steph to jump them.
No, that's fair. But you're going to have to start having a conversation of Hakeem, Robertson, Oscar. You're going to have to start having those debates, because those guys are in. They're in the top 10. I'm not going to.
He's better than Oscar already to me.
I think to me too, but I don't know how you feasibly not make the argument that Steph Curry is not a top 10 player. So I think he has so much to gain and so much to lose at the same time. I think it goes both ways. I think if he does not get it, if he does not get a Finals MVP, or he does not get a championship in a season, and where to me it's for his taking. I mean, I think to me this is for his taking. Steph Curry would never have a season in which it is so in his favor than this year. Like, it's like the stones has aligned, everything has aligned into his favor. So if he doesn't get it, that's a problem. If he do get it, he starts to enter that conversation as a top 10 player. What's going on here?
There's a leak in the ceiling.
Oh, yeah. So we start to get into that conversation, and I don't know how you not put him as the second best point guard ever. Like, how do you feasibly argue that Steph Curry is not the second best point guard ever if he wins another title? So these are conversations that you start to have. I mean, these are conversations that people are already having. But when you add another Finals MVP, if you add a Finals MVP and another title, then those conversations starts to become lopsided to me. Because right now you could say, okay, he's outskirted the top 10, and I'm not going to argue with you, because right now I have him right outside my top 10 at 11. And if he wins, there's no way I can say he's not a top 10 player. But also, and I'm gonna piss y'all off. I'm going to do it. But this is what the show is for.
Is that what it's for?
Yeah, this is what the show is for. Kevin Durant has to be y'all. I
cannot. Home for a month. Why are we still talking about it?
Y'all, I cannot. But it's just like a couple people mentioned it on the shows, and I'm like, I think the same thing. Like, Kevin Durant has to be in his room in the dark, looking at this and be like, man.
You don't get tired of this?
No, because hold on. Because Kevin Durant joined the gravy train. He joined the gravy train. He won 2 championships, and he decided to hop off the gravy train and go join Kyrie Irving, which was a mistake within itself. And then the gravy train takes a 2-year layoff, and then all of a sudden the train is back functioning like it never left.
Yes, we all knew they could win without him, which is evidenced by the fact that they won a championship before he got there and went to the finals the year after and won 73 games. I think I genuinely don't know what else we have to discuss about this topic. We've had this exact
Hey, look, all
7 times on you.
But let me see. I just want to say this, and we could be done with this conversation. I just wanted to make one point. And I've been said this point, but I want to say it again. I want to harp on this point. If Steph Curry wins a championship, you can never say Kevin Durant was better than Steph Curry. You can never say that. I don't care what feasible evidence, anything you've seen, you cannot feasibly say Kevin Durant was better than Steph Curry. There's no way. Like there's no way. You cannot say that. An all-time ranking, you cannot say that current ranking. You cannot say it. But I'm done. I digress with the conversation. You know, Kevin Durant's not in the room. Kevin Durant is not in these playoffs.
He's been home for like 5 weeks now.
Yeah, he's been home, sitting down in his misery.
Oh no, I think he's been traveling. I think he's doing all right.
he getting booed out. He getting booed out of the country. You know, so
KD is smoking his weed and having it.
He's getting booed out of the country.
Oh yeah,
he going to other places and they booing him. He going to other places and they booing him. So I mean, I think they all agree with me. Like, boo, you joined the gravy train. Boo, it's very evident. I mean,
I think KD has a lot of people that love him too.
I think he do too. It just, I think the problem that I don't think KD care enough about basketball. Like, I think he just wants to play. Like, he legitimately wants to just play basketball. I don't think he cares about any of the narratives around him. I don't think he cares about joining the Golden State Warriors. I think he cares to some degree. I think he cares to some degree because he wouldn't have left Golden State if people didn't throw out the narrative that they didn't need him. So, and obviously, I'm not a hypocrite. Like, they needed him as much as he needed them. So it works both ways. Like, so I'm not going to sit here and say they didn't need Kevin Durant, but there's so many people out there saying that Kevin Durant didn't need the Warriors. If he didn't, why would you join them? So to me, it works both ways. You joined the gravy train, so you obviously needed their help. You obviously needed them, and they obviously needed you. So I just don't like the narrative that people throw out that, oh, they needed him because they seen LeBron over there. They was never going to win again. How do you know? Can you predict the future that they never was going to go beat LeBron and Kyrie again? Because I'm not so sure that was going to happen. I watched the game 5 in which they suspended Draymond Green. The series would have been over in 5. But that's neither here or there. I digress again. Just like you can go back and say, well, Kyrie and Kevin Love was hurt. The Warriors probably would have won that. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think they, both sides obviously saw, this is a way that we can get to the championship, the clearest path, the easiest path, the best path, really. I mean,
yeah, because LeBron would have never won again in Cleveland. So he left. Let's be realistic. Like, LeBron would never won again in Cleveland.
I think if KD never comes to Golden State, I think the Cavs have a shot to win one of the next 2 championships. I do too. I think those would have been really good series as well. I think that was. I don't want to say Kevin Durant ruined it, but I would have loved to seen the back and forth because I think it would have been back and forth titles. Golden State won, Cleveland won. Golden State won, Cleveland. I really thought it would have been back and forth titles. They would have split.
I think they would have split 2-2. I really do.
I think you might be right. That that 2017 Cavs team was really, really good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tunde.
That 2017 Cavs team to me is as we look around at the team like the teams that have won the title. That 2017 Cavs team to me is at worst a top 15 team of all time, and I think if we go down the list, they're probably a top 10 team of all time. And
worst?
Not been for them. No, best. Like
best.
10 best teams of all time. The 2017
I won't go that far.
Cleveland Cavaliers, and had it not been for the fact that they were playing what was the best team of all time in the 2017 Golden State Warriors, we have a very different discussion about that team. I know nobody remembers it now, but they weren't winning. They weren't just winning playoff games and playoff series. They were walking through them with ease. They lost.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you're going a little far when you say a
conference.
10, though. I don't think they're a top 10 team. I think you're going a little far with that one, but I'm not saying
They were a historic offensive team.
you called them historic.
A historic offensive team. Yeah, they were. I mean, even in the
They were
finals,
one of the best. Yeah, one of the best 3-point shooting teams I think in playoff history.
yeah, I mean, even in the finals, the Warriors did not stop them. The Warriors didn't get stops on that team in the finals. The Warriors just outscored them. But
I mean, the Warriors were just better than them when it came down to it. The Kevin Durant was the equalizer. When I say that, is that those teams were as evenly matched as you were going to get. So we were going to see who was the better team. The problem is Kevin Durant came and the scale tipped so much in Golden State favor that Cleveland could not overcome that. So that's another problem that I really have with it, is that I wanted to see the outcome of those 5 years. I wanted to see head-to-head Steph, LeBron, even teams, who was going to get the best. We got robbed. To me, we got robbed of seeing the two best players in our generation go head-to-head multiple times because Kevin Durant tilted the scale so much and Golden State favor. And I'm not going to say we didn't enjoy Steph, KD, and LeBron. I'm just saying he tilted the favor so much at Golden State that it really wasn't a contest after he joined. And it kind of ruined, what could have been one of the greatest collides of generational talents that we ever was seen in the NBA.
Would have been so much fun, man. And I mean, just to remind everybody who's listening to this, before that final series where they met the KD Warriors, that Cleveland Cavaliers team went 12-1 in winning the first 3 series.
Good.
And the one game that they lost was a game in Boston, in which Marcus Smart, who at the time was about a sub 30% 3-point shooter for his career, made 7 threes.
Yeah. Was that the one where Avery Bradley hit the
game winner? Yep. Avery Bradley hit the game winner off of, I still remember the play. They ran one guy off the pin down, had him come back around, then ran Avery Bradley off the pin down, catch, shoot, mid-range jumper, and hit the rim 11 billion times and went in.
Yeah. I just want to tell real quick, guys, I just wanted to tell our audience what's going on right now. So right now we're in a delay with the Warriors and the Mavs because of a leak in the ceiling. So as soon as that game resumes, we're going to bring you live action with that game. But right now we're just having a good conversation about a variety of topics right now. So go ahead, Chaz.
Yeah, they got like 4 minutes up on this clock. So I don't know if they figure they're going to be able to figure it out in these next few minutes.
I think they still give the team some warm-up time after they've resolved the issue.
Do you think they're just going to restart that clock thing? Because it looks like it's under 4 minutes right now.
Well, I think some of the players are on the court, actually.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like the leak was fixed, did it?
Yeah. I saw them bringing the basketball courts outside. So I don't know exactly. I see some people dribbling down there. So I'm not for sure if it's cleared, but they will give the players a grace period of practice before they resume the game.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we can get that straightened out in the next several minutes or so. But what I was going to say though is, I think that same 2017 year weren't the Warriors undefeated going into that finals?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they only had the one loss.
Then they swept through, and then they swept through Cleveland in that series in 2017.
Oh, they beat them at 5 that year, I think.
Hold on. So, they swept them in 2018. They swept in 2018.
I think, 2017, they won game 5 at home, right?
Yeah, and then they got swept in 2018 against the Warriors. So,
I mean, you don't have KD on those 2 series, and those might be some of the best classes.
That's literally like, if you ask me one thing that in basketball, in history, if you ask me what I wanted to see the most, I want 2 things. I wanted Kobe, LeBron, NBA Finals. Who is better than who? I wanted to see so bad because at the time, Kobe was the man, and like LeBron was this young guy that was ascending so fast that it was like, okay, man, this man he's here. And Kobe was doing so much trying to stave off LeBron becoming the best player. And Kobe was literally, having, masterpiece after masterpiece. And he was on that level when he's saying, okay, I'm still that guy. Like LeBron hasn't dethroned anyone. I'm still that guy. So when it came time for, 2018, when Kobe finally made it back to NBA Finals, we were expecting LeBron to get to that point and get his team there. So they end up losing to Boston, and which was a hard-fought series. And then it ended up being Kobe versus the Celtics. And Kobe ended up winning his fourth championship, then end up going back-to-back to win back-to-back finals to get him to 5. But it's very interesting that, the chain of events that happened after that, because if you remember, after Kobe won his championship, I think he was clearly the best player in the NBA. LeBron ended up eventually ending that version of the Boston Celtics by beating their big three. They went to they were the New Jersey Nets at the time, and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce end up going there, and then Ray Allen ended up going to Miami. So it was just a variety of things that were happening, that were going on at that time, and then it set up for some amazing, clashes between the two. So I think that point in time, I really wanted to see that epic collision between those two. And the second, obviously, would have been, it's not a trilogy, it would have been 5 consecutive years of Steph versus LeBron. Because it could have been 2-2. Who's going to get that third? Who's going to get that third one? And so that would have been,
while we're going down this rabbit hole, do you think, let's say Kevin Durant never goes to Golden State, for the, for argument's sake, let's say the Cavaliers and Warriors split 2017 and 2018. Do you think LeBron still goes to LA? Because we wouldn't have had that 5th matchup.
I don't think so. I think the reason why he went to LA, because he figured that he wasn't going to win with that team because of this Golden State Warriors team. Because knowing the circumstances that we know now, I don't think LeBron would have ever left if he knew Kevin Durant was only going to be there for a handful of years. Yeah. I think he would have figured out a way to retool that team, and get back to that position of, because at that time they were dominating the East. There was no one that was going to beat them. So he went out west, and I get why he did it, because, he's going out west, and, people saying, oh, the West is tougher and you can't hang with the people out west. So I get why he did it. And of course, I don't knock the move, because LA, the big stars, the mega stars, where did they play? They played in LA. So for generation and traditional sake, I get why he made the move.
Yeah, and obviously that entire year we had been hearing rumors that LeBron might be headed out to LA, and that was a spot that he was keeping in mind, a favorable destination, all that. So I think maybe if they split those, two, we can get back to this game in a second too, now that it's going. But I do think, if they split those two, I think he probably does stay in Cleveland.
Who do you have in that 5th?
Oh man,
I know, right?
We're saying for all 3 of those years, the teams are pretty much the same.
Yeah. No Kevin Durant. We're talking about the Harrison Barnes Golden State Warriors.
And he probably resigns then.
He resigns. That team is even killed. Andre Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the whole 9. That version, that iteration of the Warriors, that 2015 Warriors, 5 consecutive finals appearances. Who wins that 5th? You said the Warriors?
I don't know if it would be that 5th one, but I think they win 3 out of the 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you still have Curry with 3 rings?
Yeah, I would. I still think, even with that said, I do think that they had the better team. We can obviously, it would have been a different series in 2015 if they had Kyrie and Kevin Love, but I do think the Warriors were the best team that season, and I think they would have continued to get better. And they would have had that drive in 2017 to try and get back at the Cavs, beating them in 2016. So I think the Warriors probably still win 3 out of 5, but I mean, obviously the Cavs would have had a great shot without KD there.
Absolutely. So this game has resumed, and the Warriors are down 22 right now at the start of this third quarter. It seems like they don't want inside the NBA to be over. I think they want the guys to go on for another, a day or two.
Hey, I'm happy about it because when we record on Thursday, we actually have a game we can watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe we get there. I still think the Warriors are not out of this yet. Obviously they have to play better. But it's still so much basketball left.
And 10-3 in this quarter, like you said, it's up to 72-50, 9:24 in the third. Steve Curtis used his timeout. What would you like to see out of this timeout from the Warriors to try and at least make a run to get this, competitive?
Aggressive. They need to be aggressive on the offensive end. They need to attack, put their head down, attack the paint. Wiggins has not been aggressive this entire game. Steph is doing Steph things, but Steph needs to be more aggressive. Klay Thompson, his shot is not falling. He needs to take the ball to the paint. Overall, the team has to play better. So in order for them to get back in this game, they have to play better overall on offense, and they need to bring back that defensive intensity that they were bringing back in game 3 and 2. So if they're able to do that, they can start to chip away at this lead. It's not far-fetched. It's like a 30-point game. They were down 19. Again, they were down 19 at the half of game 3. So it's not out of ordinary for them to come back and make a run in this third quarter, in which I think we all anticipate that they will cut this lead down, and it will be a game come fourth quarter. What are your takes on it?
I think you're right. But with the way that Dallas is playing right now, it seems like they're really playing with the level of urgency that they need to in a series down 3-0. So these next few minutes are going to be really important. If they can somehow turn this lead up to 26, 28 points, and really put it out of reach, then we might see the Warriors just kind of mail it in that fourth quarter and put their focus on game 5. So despite having the 22-point lead right now, I think the Mavericks need to continue to really work to get quality shots, to continue to have the intensity on defense. I mean, like you said, the Warriors are not out of this game, so Dallas needs to continue to play at a high level for them to close this out.
Absolutely. As we are working to get our co-hosts back into the thick of things, we're going to continue live coverage of this game. So what do you want to see from Dallas perspective of, continuing to keep the proverbial foot on their necks to, kind of come out of Dallas with a win and heading back to Golden State?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they're allowing Golden State to really be that comfortable on offense. I don't necessarily think that the Warriors are making them work. We've seen the Warriors offense look a lot better than it has tonight. And obviously they can reach that potential at any given moment. But we haven't really seen that in stretches tonight. So, the way that the Mavericks are keeping them, under control on defense and then on offense, all game really. The entire first half and these first few minutes of the second half, they've been getting
Finney
really.
Smith 4 for 4. Sorry to cut you off. Finney Smith is 4 for 4. Bullock is 3 for 6. Kleber is 2 for 3. So their others are hitting their shots. They were 2 for 17 in game 3. So their others are hitting their shots, which they needed. They're on an 8-0 run in the first minute and a half of this third quarter as Steph misses a 3. So take me through what's going on right now as we do a little play-by-play action.
Yeah, Curry got off that screen, missed a 3 there. I think I'm a few seconds behind you, but Brunson's bringing the ball up. You mentioned that 8-0 run. Obviously, Jason Kidd would like to continue to have that push up. Brunson got in the paint there.
As Klay Thompson takes another ill-advised 3. I mean, Klay is
That's a good shot, don't you think? In rhythm.
He's off.
Yeah, you're right. He is off. But I mean, he just knocked down his last one. You're down 22. Don't you think that's a shot that
you do what Andrew Wiggins just did? You start to kill them in the paint. You start to go to the foul line with no time coming off the clock. That was if you ask me what was the recipe for the Warriors' success in Game 3 coming back, the Warriors stopped hitting threes. They started to go aggressively in the paint. They started to get fouls. They started to make their foul shots when no time coming off the clock. That's what they did in Game 3 to come back. So we know you guys have the ability to hit threes, but right now they're not falling. They're not falling right now. So put your head down, attack the paint aggressively, get to the foul line, and make your foul shots.
Yeah, I mean, you're shooting 4 from 20 from 3. I mean, if you have a good look, you obviously still want to take it, but right now you need to be putting your head down and getting easy shots at the basket. We saw that as Luka hits down another 3 to push it back to a 23-point lead. But, you know, the Warriors they haven't seemed like they're really in a great rhythm on offense. Andrew Wiggins just scored his first points since the first, 3 minutes. You know, he obviously has not been at the same level as he was in Game 3. Clay with a nice move there, but you know, we've talked about his struggles tonight as well. We haven't seen much from Jordan Poole, so it's been a lot of Steph Curry and not a lot of the role players stepping up for Golden State tonight.
Absolutely, as Clay misses another free throw. I don't know what's more shocking, Klay Thompson in this series, or the fact that Steph is shooting 80% from from field goal percentage. I'm sorry, from the foul line. That is, to me, that's shocking. As Bullock just knocks down another 3, he's 4 for 7 right now with 12 points. I mean, Dallas is just hitting their shots.
But I mean, these are wide open shots, though. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like these are shots that he needed to make down in Game 3 for them to have a shot at this series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if the Warriors do lose this game, who is a player that you would like to see get going a little bit just to have their confidence and some momentum going back into Game 5?
I need Jordan Poole to play better.
That's what I was thinking. I think
I need Jordan Poole to play exceptionally better than what he's displayed the last 2 or 3 games in this series. He's supposed to be that lethal third option for the Golden State Warriors. You know, I know he came on in the fourth quarter of Game 3, but we need to see that more consistently throughout the entire game and not in spurts. He needs to stay out of foul trouble. I know they're picking on him on the offensive end, putting him in every single pick and roll action, but he needs to be disciplined. He does not need to take fouls. I don't know what it is about Jordan Poole taking take fouls, but he needs to stop taking take fouls. He has 4 personal fouls right now. He has 4. And
a lot of them are just out of being lazy on defense.
Yes, and he took a take foul in the second quarter that he didn't need to take. You know, if they beat you, they beat you. As Doncic just knocked down another dagger 3, they're starting to hit their threes. I mean, they're 16-28. They're 57% from the threes. I mean,
he got that switch on to Steph, and he knew exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Warriors need to stave off this run that the Mavs are on.
No, this game is over, right? You're still not ready to call it?
No.
81-56, 646. At what point would you call it? Let's say it's 30 at the end of the third. Would you call it?
The ball literally got stuck on iron. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I forgot. Do he shoot that again or what?
I don't think so, right? I don't know.
This is an insane night.
Draymond just starts laughing.
The Warriors have to figure out some way how to get this down to a 10-point, 12-point lead.
They got to get down to 20.
They're down 25, you know, so again, which let's just play out the last couple of minutes here to see the type of offense that this Golden State Warriors they're running right now. They're not being aggressive still as Wiggins knocks down a baseline shot, cuts the lead to 20-23. They have to get some type of offensive rhythm going. They can get it going at any time. They need to start. They need Dallas to start missing shots. Brunson just missed a what's a kind of like a sorry, I got this. I don't know.
Yeah, about a 17-footer mid-range.
I'm sorry, I'm a little ahead of you, so I just saw an ill-advised three that Steph just shot.
Yeah, he thought he had a little gap there, but that was good defense from the Mavericks to crowd him on that three right there.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying about Poole, I definitely agree with you on that. Who's at Ntilikina with a mid-range jumper to put him up 83 to 58. But what you were saying about Poole, I agree with you for sure. I mean, not only is it, bad fouls on defense, he's getting picked apart, he's getting attacked on defense, but then, also what we were saying about, the team in general settling for threes. All 4 of his attempts tonight have been from beyond the arc. He is a player that can dribble drive, that can get past guys with a good first step, very crafty finisher around the rim. We haven't seen any of that tonight, partially because he's been in foul trouble, but also it seems like a lot of this series he's been a little out of sync. It would be nice to see him or Poole or Klay Thompson really start to get going.
Yeah. This is Dallas playing with desperation here.
The urgency that you need down 3-0 for sure.
Yes, definitely. As the Warriors get a steal and they cut this lead from 62 to 83. So it is still so much time left in this game. And all it takes is one run for Golden State, but Dallas they're not letting up. As Bodak just knocks down another three. He's 5 for 8 from 3-point range, 15 points. This is what they needed.
Yep.
As Jordan Poole knocks down a three to answer. Score of 65-86. Jordan Poole has 8 points. He's 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3-point range. He has to get going.
It does seem like
the Warriors.
Would you agree these last few minutes, this offense has started to get going a little bit?
Yes, but they need to play better defense.
Yeah, get
fouling.
Stops, maybe get 3 stops in a row, really turn this into a run.
They can.
But these offensive rhythm getting going doesn't really mean anything if you can't get stops.
Yeah.
And there's and one from Kleba on the pick and roll. Good pass from Luka to lead him a little bit. I'm not sure who they got on the foul there, but was it on Poole? Was it Poole's 5th? I think it might have been, right?
It might have been Poole's 5th. I don't think they announced it yet. I didn't quite hear it.
It should be on Draymond, I believe. But anyways, that was a great pass from Luka out, from the screen and roll right there. And like we said, the Warriors aren't going to get back into this game if they aren't able to get stops.
Absolutely not. No. So they're scoring, but you cannot, at this point in the game, you cannot trade basket for basket. As Damian Lee is in the game again, and I cannot figure out why. Again, but Damian Lee is in the game.
They just put in Moses Moody and Damian Lee.
Poole,
for Poole and Klay. I get taking Poole out, with the foul trouble, but it did seem like they both started to get going on offense a little bit. So maybe Kerr was doing that as a defensive substitution. I mean, Moody is a pretty good perimeter defender, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do enough to help you get back into this game. That's a great pass right there from Steph. And it looks like we got Tunde back in, so
they cannot miss. I mean,
Danny, you want to do a quick wrap up and we'll start a new recording?
Absolutely. So you are listening to the Spoken Truth podcast right now on YouTube. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube. You can also follow us on Spotify at Spoken Truth. All you gotta do is type it in your search engine.
Sorry about that, y'all.
The Mavs cannot miss. They cannot miss. I mean, they're 8 for 10. Like, they cannot miss. Like they cannot miss. Yeah, I mean, pack it up. We're going
There it is.
to San Francisco.
You ready to call it?
Yeah, we're going to San Francisco for Game 5.
Wasn't ready to a couple minutes ago, Tunde.
No, it's yeah.
Yeah, we're going to San Francisco. I mean, it's not that they're not scoring enough points. It's just the Mavs they cannot miss. And this is what they were doing in the first half of Game 3, but couldn't continue in the second half. But they've continued thus far through the first seemingly 3 quarters of this game.
Yeah, I think they're probably shooting even better in this quarter than they were
in the first half.
They're up to 19 out of 33 from 3-point range compared to 5 out of 22. So I mean, that's the whole game right there, really.
Yeah. What were you? I'm not sure if you were able to watch Tunde while you were getting your internet back up. But I'm not even going to ask you because I don't think you were, because your internet was out. But we were talking about that Golden State versus Cleveland Cavaliers. Just to touch back on it real quick, we were talking about that 5-year span, and me and Chaz both agreed that the Warriors would have still came out 3-2 in favor of those championships. Where do you lie on that? Who would have had the more championships in that span of 5 years? Steph Curry or LeBron James?
The hypothetical here being that, like what? I want to make sure I'm understanding the question here.
So in that 5-year span, when Steph Curry won 3 championships and they played each other, 5 consecutive years in the finals, who would have got the most titles out of that run if they're doing that 2015 Golden State Warriors? So we're talking pre-Kevin Durant Warriors. We're talking about that Warriors team without Kevin Durant versus that Cavaliers team. Who wins the most titles out of that 5-year span?
I mean, I think I'd pick Cleveland just because I know it was kind of a unique set of circumstances, among other things, that were able to get the Cavs over the hump there in 2016. But I mean, I think if you run that series, I think if you kind of run those 2 cores back and leave Kevin Durant out of it, the Warriors aren't scheme-proof the way they end up being, where, that's a team that would, when you, with some additional physicality, and the knowledge that referees kind of let you get away with things in the playoffs. I think the Cavs would have been able to guard them well enough to outscore them. So I would go with the Cavs. Still have LeBron there. Golden State winning the other two. Sorry.
Gotcha. That's fair. I mean, we know you're a LeBron fan, but that's fair. That's fair to say LeBron against the most rings. We're not being biased whatsoever. But it's
another question that branched off from that conversation too, Tunde, was: do you think if Kevin Durant never goes to Golden State and they split those 4 series 2-2, do you think LeBron still leaves for LA in 2019?
No.
Yeah, that's kind of where we were at too, and then we think they probably face off for a 5th time.
Yeah, I think if LeBron just looking back, I think the reason LeBron won is because he knew he couldn't beat that team, and he knew the team that he had was not enough to even compete with that team. So I don't think it was kind of a double whammy. Because,
once Kyrie left, there was no
chance.
Yeah,
even if once Kyrie left, I think it was over for that. So there was no way adding Kevin Durant, LeBron stays with Cleveland. Already knowing the history with him and the owner, already knowing the situation, there's no way he stays, knowing that he probably loses. So in that aspect, I agree with all of you that LeBron he ends up leaving to go to Los Angeles. The question that I really have that I think is the most interesting is, what if he chose the 76ers instead? Do you think the 76ers will have a ring right now? Because that was the speculation of him and Joel Embiid pairing together. Like, how do you think that would have played out?
Yes, I think
they win the championship. Yeah, I think in 2019 they win one. I'm sorry, I think in 2020 they still win one. I think, probably LeBron, there was probably 10 teams that he could have gone to and win a championship in 2020.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And I think the Warriors are calling it. I think they're resting their players. They have
going to wave the white flag with a minute
They
left.
waved the flag, yeah. They waved the flag.
I don't blame them, with Game 5 being back at home. This game almost at 30 point. I don't think it's too early to call it either.
Yeah, they're going to close it out tomorrow. I mean, they're going to close it out Thursday.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sorry, Tunde, but they're going to close it out on their home court. Hey, but you're on mute.
I'm mute again.
For a guy that picked the Mavs, I think you have to be overly thrilled, right? You have to be overly thrilled that you guys got this game and you got it in this fashion, and you're down 3-1, and now they have a chance, right?
No.
I'm sorry. One of us, I feel one of us has predicted every playoff series correctly up to this point, and the other person.
It was about to be wrong. I mean, you're about to be wrong.
The other person is you. So
I mean, you're about to be. I mean, you're about to be wrong. So I mean, that whole little statistic is about to be incorrect in a matter of 48 hours. So it doesn't. It's 48 hours. So I mean, at the end of the, I picked the Warriors to win the title. At least that is still. I mean, you obviously. I think you picked Boston.
I picked Boston.
So we're going to have some very some bets going on when it comes. I have to do that off air, but I think we got to bet on. I think we got to bet on this.
Yeah, if they meet up, I think you guys should do it.
Yeah, we got to bet. We have to. We have to.
On air though.
I'll do it on air.
Off air. It's off air. You had to do it off air. But
shout out to Danny for wanting to protect whatever, maybe a professional reputation of some kind. I don't care. So I'll make all
marketing, man. How can you not care? You're in marketing.
I'll make all the bad decisions.
What do you do, by the way? We're so off topic, but this game is a blowout.
Oh yeah.
This game is a blowout. What do you do? Like we know what me and Chaz do, but like what do you actually like? You're marketing, right? So what is your job entails?
I got a marketing degree, but I actually work in sales. I work in sales at a startup in the Bay Area by the name of Gem. We make recruiting software, and I sell said recruiting software to talent acquisition and recruiting teams.
So do you work on? I'm getting all into the job description. So I mean, this game's a blowout. Of course, we're gonna get to more NBA content, guys, but I would like to know some of my, co-hosts, know about what they do for a living, We all, exactly what I do and what me and Chaz do. I'm pretty sure he knows what you do. But do you do is it online? Like, is it like, do you work online, like in work from home?
I have the choice. I could go to the office. I could work online. I choose to work from home partially.
Oh, that's fantastic. You have an option, right?
Yeah. I pick working from home most of the time because it's just so much easier for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
so a person
that's sales calls.
You said what?
Like a lot of your job is making sales calls.
I make tons of sales calls. Yeah.
How many a day do you think? That's tough.
Yeah, it depends on the day. Sometimes like 50.
Wow.
Like tomorrow, I'm probably going to make like 60, 70, something.
And you get, I'm sure you get exhausted by that. It sounds like a lot of work.
Yes, I do.
You have like a script?
Not really. I don't like using scripts because scripts make you sound like a robot. And the goal for me is always to have a genuine, authentic conversation with the person I'm chatting with. So if I use script, I can't really do that.
That's fair.
You just listen to people when they talk. You just ask open-ended questions and then actively listen to them, and you'll be just fine.
This looks like one of those Boston Miami games, blowout.
Another blowout.
Another blowout. So it's fascinating because you live in San Francisco, and obviously, me and Chaz, we live in Michigan areas. For a person that lives in San Francisco and root against the Warriors, how does that feel? Are you going to go to the parade and when they win the championship this year? I'm curious. Like, are you and some of your friends going to go to the parade and see, what the hype is about, all that stuff?
If they win a championship, I might go to the parade just to say I did it. But I mean, I think saying that I root against the Warriors is a little. That's not like I don't root against the Warriors. I love watching them play basketball. Steph Curry is one of my favorite players to watch. I mean,
you just picked them to lose the series.
Yeah, I just picked them to lose the series. It's not like trying to think if there's a Bay Area team that I do actively root against. Not really. I mean, I got yelled at by a lot of people out here early 2020, like right before the pandemic hit the United States, when we were talking about the 49ers, and I told them that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to ruin this for them at some point, and that it wasn't going to work having a quarterback who needed to be actively hid away from game plans, and that whole 27 passes through the first 2 games of the playoff run wouldn't work. And people came at me every which way, being like, "Nah, they made the Super Bowl." People were like, "Yeah, we're totally gonna win this." Kyle Shanahan is a way better coach than Andy Reid, and I was like, "All right, when Jimmy Garoppolo fucked this up."
I think it's so fascinating how, the 49ers always find themselves beating Green Bay. It's just so fascinating how they always beat Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
they always find somewhere. Yeah, to me, they always find their play. They always find they're always somewhere they're not supposed to be. I feel like that Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, they were good, but I don't feel like Jimmy. I mean, first of all, Jimmy G flat out just single-handedly cost them that Super Bowl against the Chiefs. I mean, he was just abysmal. All he had to do was make one pass. Literally, he had to make one. We're getting into NFL now, but he had to make literally one pass, and that Super Bowl is the 49ers. But instead, he can't complete any pass, and you give the ball right back to Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to do Patrick Mahomes things. I mean, this is the same guy that scored in 13 seconds against Buffalo. I mean, you can't give this guy any type of time. Come on. So
I mean, I'm not high on Jimmy G either, but I feel like they don't get to the NFC Championship last year without him. I mean, if Trey Lance was their starting quarterback last year, I don't think they're as good.
He's not. He wasn't ready.
Yeah, he's not ready yet. Yeah.
I mean, is that more of Jimmy G, or is that Aaron Rodgers choking in the playoff again?
I mean, I think it's the fact that the Green Bay Packers for the last 6 years have been you got this, right, Aaron? It's cool.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He never do.
It's cool if you have one reliable receiver to throw to, and we could probably very easily get you a second one. Odell Beckham didn't sign with us over offset language that ended up being $2-3 million. And I think, we probably rather would have paid that $2-3 million than not win a Super Bowl. But, you got this, right, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. So
in the passing game?
You guys are definitely still listening to Spoken Truth. We're all just very versatile in the sports industry. So we could talk about everything under the sun. So the fact that this is a sheer blowout is the reason why we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, who chokes in the playoffs every year almost.
Hey, they cut it to 20 though.
They cut it to 20.
9-0 run to start this fourth quarter.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Spoken Truth podcast. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our podcast on YouTube. You can also subscribe to our podcast on Spotify.
You guys good to start a new one?
Yep, let's go.
Yeah. Are we just going to?
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Spoken Truth podcast live edition as we continue to cover this blowout between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to get back into that game. It's not much to get back into. If I'm Steve Kerr, I seemingly throw the tape away at this one. But I wanted to get you guys' opinions over the state of the NBA. And what I mean by that is, we know that, these top stars are, they're getting older, and Steph Curry is in his mid-30s, LeBron's in his mid-30s, Kevin Durant is in his mid-30s. So these mega stars are slowly getting out of their prime. Who is the next face of the NBA that's up and coming? Who's that next guy?
Like up and coming as in they're not
Who's going to take the throne as best player in the NBA? As best player, face and best player in the NBA.
It's
Giannis.
I think it's clearly Giannis. Yeah, I think there's other people that are going to be, top 5 players for the next handful of years, like Embiid, like Luka. But I think Giannis is the best of the bunch, and I think he has to be especially with already having a championship under his belt. I feel like he's going to take that throne and run with it when a couple of these other guys retire.
Tunde?
I mean, I think Giannis is the clear next guy. I think like Chaz said, Luka, Embiid. I'll throw another name in there we haven't mentioned, Jayson Tatum.
Do you think he has it though?
Yeah, are you watching?
Do you know what I mean by it? Do you think he has? Because I think he has the game, but do you think he has the personality?
Yeah,
personality to,
because that matters when you're talking about the best player in the NBA. Not just the best player, but you're talking about the face. When you talk about the face of the NBA, they have to have a level of personality to them. Like LeBron is overly, his personality is bubbly, lovely. He's open to everyone. That gives me that Giannis impression. Giannis is just this open person. He talks to everyone. JT doesn't strike me as a guy that's very open. Steph Curry is not very open. He's very reserved. He's just he's one of the faces of the league, but he's grown to that based off his play. So I'm not saying that Jayson Tatum cannot do that without having a type of personality. I just don't think his game is Steph's game for him to be able to get away with not being as open, if that makes sense.
I mean, I think that Jayson Tatum is going to be a superstar in one of the league's biggest markets for the next 10 to 12 years. I think that in and of itself means that things will work itself out.
That's fair. I'm going to go with Giannis as well. I think because Giannis, he has the charisma, the personality, but also is because he's not from here. He's able to bring a lot to the table from a person that didn't grow up he didn't grow up in the United States. So for him to be able to bring that aspect to the NBA and have this type of personality, I think it votes well for him being a face in his league. My initial thought was Zion, but I don't think Zion could ever be healthy enough to reach that point. I think he has so many. I'm trying to be nice. He has so many physical issues that he has to address before he can even play 60 games in the NBA season, maybe. So I think that's too premature to determine. But I think knowing what we know now, the clear answer is obviously Giannis.
Yeah, and kind of a thought branching off of that. Thinking of Zion too, who's a player that you guys could see maybe next year being added to that superstar list? I mean, I think this year, somebody like Ja made that jump. Do you guys have somebody that sticks out to you that could make that jump next season?
Ja's not a superstar.
Anyways, Zion Williamson. I'll say this now.
You're not a superstar.
I think
I'll
he
say
is.
this now, so I'm on record as saying it. Zion Williamson, provided he enters the season healthy, will be my MVP pick for next season.
Oof,
Oh,
Yes.
please.
that's a hot take.
Oh, please.
I love it.
Oh, please.
Added CJ McCollum to a team that literally needed somebody who profiles like CJ McCollum. They have Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum on one roster with guys like
Klay Thompson is mad. Oh, never mind.
With guys like Jose Alvarado and Herb Jones, who are both just fantastic defenders. In particular, Herb Jones, all defense level guy. This is another team where we're gonna look at the roster. We're gonna be like, you're gonna look at them towards the end of next year, and you're gonna be like, damn, there's not a lot missing. If Zion stays healthy, I think there's a decent chance they're a top 4 seed in the Western Conference next year. And with the personnel that they have and the shooting that they've added, a healthy Zion might average 30 points a game. So if we're talking about a guy who averages, 30 points a game, ends up being on the top 4 seed, that will be an MVP candidate. So yeah, Zion is my pick, big time.
I'm not going to say anything because the Warriors cut this lead down to 16. I'm not going to say anything. I don't know if it could get any lower than that, but
there's still enough time.
I know that's why Luka's checking back in the game.
It seems like these last 3 minutes they've gone into stall mode. I mean, they're letting the ball dribble up the court. They're
if
coming
I'm
out.
Steve Kerr, do I put Steph back in?
I mean,
if they can get this lead down to single digits,
yeah, I think you do at that point.
Feasibly, they can.
Do you before that though?
Yes, I don't think you need to wait that damn long.
You just do it within the next minute?
I don't know. I have
if Luka comes back and all of a sudden it's right back to 22-23, it's probably going to be too late.
That's going to be interesting to see. Because the Warriors are not out of their doubts are not clear yet. That's going to be not out of their. Say it again. Yeah, I don't think the dollars are out of the clear yet with this game. And obviously they have all the control. But I don't think this game is over yet with a half of quarter left. That's just me. Maybe I'm going out of limb and being crazy, but
no, I don't think you are.
I think the Warriors could get a stream of stops, maybe, and cut this lead. If they could cut this, and Luka is visibly hurt right now. I don't know if someone stepped on his ankle right now.
Yeah, he's
trying to see what happened on this play.
On his left foot, it looks like.
Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, I think Kuminga just kind of hit it a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see if the Warriors get this lead down to 10 with about 5 minutes left in this game. You're going to see a Steph Curry sight, I believe, as Kuminga loses the ball. As I just said that they might be able to cut back. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I mean, they've outscored them 17-6 so far this quarter. If they can somehow, put another 8-0 run together or 10-2 run or something.
Jordan Poole is being uber aggressive right now.
That was a nice dunk from Cleveland on the
Yeah.
long extension to push it back to 18.
Yeah, as Jordan Poole just come down with a layup, gets it back down to 16.
That was a nice handle. I mean, we've definitely seen this second unit for the Warriors give really good effort on the defensive side, to start this quarter, kind of get them back into it a little bit, even though Luka gets an easy one there to push it back to 18.
Yeah.
It's probably still out of reach, but it was good to see this Warriors second unit at least give them some fight.
Luka is visibly down. Luka is down. Let's see. Did he get back up? What's going on? They have to call a timeout, right? He's visibly hurt.
He was looking back at the ref.
Is it a groin area? It may be his groin area.
I'm not sure. He never came back down, though, on that defensive possession.
The fact that the Mavs still have to have their best player in this game,
yeah,
it doesn't bode well for the Mavs. Like the fact that they still have Luka in this game goes to tell you that this game is not out of reach, that they have to literally come and finish the game. So the Warriors' third string, this is their third string, did a good job of actually fighting back and making this actually a respectable game. Even though they're going to fall short, but being able to show that fight.
Yeah.
And it's still, I don't know if it's feasibly, 1 second. I don't know if it's feasibly, what is it? Trying to figure out what the deficit is. Deficit is 17. So it's 18 if Luka makes his free throw. So about 5 minutes left. I mean, yeah, it's over, but the fight, the Warriors' third string brung, cut it from 30 to 18 or whatever the score is going to be eventually. But just the effort. Tunde, what did you like from this Dallas Mavericks game? What were the bright spots of this game for you?
Really liked the shot diversity. Really liked the shot diversity. Like the fact that they were able to get it to the rim some tonight off of the extra passes with the pick and roll. Love the way they kind of pressed the advantage and made Jordan Poole and Steph be in the primary actions, knowing the Warriors don't want a switch with either one of those guys. Love the way they communicated defensively. Love that they played with so much effort on that end. Great communication. Really, Dorian Finney-Smith in particular tonight, I think, did a great job. Last but probably most importantly, they put the ball in the basket tonight. Guys made open shots. Reggie Bullock didn't go 0 for 10.
Yeah,
that's
Chaz. Or if you're Golden State, what are your 3 keys you're walking away with this game with? One has to be defense, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like we talked about, that defensive effort in that first half was not up to par, and that's not something that you usually see. From a Warriors team with a chance to close out an opponent. They usually bring it in these type of environments. Just didn't really have it in that, in that first half. I think 2 days off, you reevaluate. I think they do have that defensive effort Thursday night, but then beyond that, you also have to get a lot more out of Wiggins, Poole, and Clay. I think you need to have at least probably 2 of those guys have significant games every night. And really, I don't think any of the 3 played up to their potential tonight. So that
no shows from all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, Clay and Wiggins and Poole to an extent seemed like they got a little comfortable in the second half, but they were down by 25. Before they got to that point.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's obviously something that you're going to need for a couple of them to fix in Game 5. When Tunde was off for a little bit, I think we talked a lot about how Jordan Poole does seem like he's really struggling in this series. Not only is he getting attacked on defense, but then on offense, he doesn't seem to be in a rhythm. That's probably why is because he's being played off the court on defense, and it's just taking him out of rhythm on the other end. So I think if you can get one of those guys going, then it will be really important. But I think they're able to, and I think they do take care of business on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm. Tunde, are you sticking with your convention that the Dallas Mavericks are going to win this series?
I don't like changing picks. I made them for a reason, so sure.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Down 3-0. You think they become the first team ever?
Sure. Why not?
He don't believe that, but let me tell you, like if Dallas wins Game 2, if they win Game 5.
Yeah, if they win Game 5, it starts to be a conversation.
If they win Game 5, I don't even want to think like that, but if the Warriors somehow blow this 3-0 lead.
No, they won't.
And they're not, but Steph will never be able to let that down. You thought 3-1 was bad.
Yeah.
Blow 3-0 lead. Let's see. I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, the first team that does that is going to have to wear that forever.
Absolutely.
It's hard to even imagine it really happening right now. Like, it's only come close a couple of times, and I don't really see it happening in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Hey, Moody has looked pretty good in this game. We talk a lot about
Luka is still in the game for what?
I don't know, with him being injured.
He's at this point he's stat padding. Because why are you in the game still?
Oh, that was nice. You see that 360?
Yeah, as Moody just drills another three.
Yeah, I like Moody a lot. I mean, Kuminga is a guy that I feel like is going to kind of take that next step, as a starter in a couple years. But Moody is a guy that could be a real key piece on this Warriors team in a couple years.
Yeah.
See, to me, this is a definition of stat padding. Why are you in the game?
It's 13-point game. It's a 13-point game with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, this is a game again. So
yeah. I mean, you need
obviously a foul. No, it's not close enough. It's not even close. It's not close enough for Steve Kerr to put any of his big guns in the game.
I mean, I think that
it's not close enough for Steve Kerr to put any big guns in the game. He's not even
letting the young guys rock because the young guys are making the comeback happen.
Oh man,
yeah. I mean, they've outscored him 27-11, so I think he's just kind of let them get their licks a little bit in these playoffs. And I mean, with as how good if they're playing, I don't see an issue with it.
Like this is about to be like an 11-point game, potentially.
Would you bring
Steve Kerr looking down at his bench? He's looking at his player like, I don't know. I'm gonna put him
Would
in
you guys
there.
bring him back right now?
Steph?
Yeah.
I think this is about the time
if they get it down to a single digit lead, I bring back my core.
Steph,
I don't think they're going to.
Damian Lee, like if this is me, Damian Lee would be coming off the court right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, they blew it. Oh, they did.
It's down to 11 though.
Oh man, they got a rebound. Oh man. Then Warriors are making this interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think your stream is the most ahead, Danny. What are we looking at? Did Golden State go down?
Kuminga drills a three, and this lead is single digits. The Warriors about to bring back their core. Like this is a game now. Like the Warriors are about to bring back their core. Like this lead is 8, 3.5 minutes left.
Timeout.
Warriors.
Yeah, they got to be back.
Bangs a three. He's about to bring back Steph.
They're right in this game. They're right there.
They're right. This is crazy.
32-11 in this quarter.
Mavs took their foot off the gas. I still expect them to win this game, but I don't know.
Living like this.
Huh?
I said they can't keep living like this, man. This is crazy.
Dallas, they took their foot off the gas. They're just like that. Dallas at bare minimum, this series should be 2-2. At bare minimum, this series should be 2-2. Yeah, it should be 2-2.
I mean, they should have won. You could have the argument that they should have won game 2 and 3, if not just one of them.
Yeah. As my sister texted me as soon as Steph calls, as soon as he called timeout. 1 second.
Is your sister a Warriors fan too?
Yeah, she's a Warrior fan.
Got a whole family or just the two of you?
No, I mean the battles. You guys will not understand the battles I have in my household. Me and my sister are Warriors. He brought Steph back with the core. He brought Steph back with the young guns.
I like that.
That's the team that brought you to the dance.
Yeah, just take out Damian.
My dad loves LeBron. Like my dad goes wherever LeBron goes. Look, Lakers. My mom naturally follows her husband because that's her husband, and it's like me and my sister are like the Warriors fan. So our household is fascinating. Like, they called the foul.
So out of the timeout, Steve Kerr does the thing I would have done and takes out Damian Lee, brings Steph back in.
I mean, Damian Lee should have been out of the game already. Like, where's his minutes coming from? Like, who minutes are he stealing? He's stealing somebody minutes.
I guess
Otto Porter's?
Maybe. Yeah, Otto Porter and Gary Payton probably would be taking those minutes if they were active.
Do I challenge that? Did they use their challenge already? I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? Yeah, I think they're challenging that.
Nothing.
Yeah. I think they're challenging that. What do you have to lose at this point? You have anything to lose.
Yeah,
3 minutes left. You're down, what, 12? 10, 12? 10, I think.
Right, yeah.
You don't have anything to lose. Like,
Yeah, I think he was probably set. They probably lose that challenge, but I don't mind taking the chance on it.
It's pretty, yeah. It's the reward is definitely worth it here. So it's an and one if they call this a blocking foul. So
yeah, that's true. And
Was his feet set? I didn't see the video. Was his feet set?
it looked like it to me. It
Brunson's-
looked like he got there just in time.
Okay.
I didn't see a lot of leaning. I would like to see it, with another replay, but from the two that I saw right before the break, it didn't look like a
Well,
block.
this is a huge call.
It is. It would have been nice for the Warriors to be able to get a stop out of that timeout and have a possession, on offense down by 8. Instead, they gave up that dribble drive to Luka. He got right to the rim for the two-handed finish. So, it pushed it right back to 10. If this is a charge call,
Brunson's not set. Brunson is moving forward.
Okay, you got a replay of it?
Yeah, the view that I got from the top, it's unsuccessful challenge. But I thought he was leaning forward still. As Klay Thompson is getting ready to enter the game, they're bringing their whole court back.
You don't have to be set, but you as long as you're in quote unquote legal guarding position. I think this is an example of that. I think this is good.
This is a 10-point lead, 3 minutes left. The entire starting 5 is back for the Golden State Warriors. This is a possession by possession game. The Warriors need to attack, stop the clock, and be able to get free throws and make them at this point of the game. As Bullock drills a 3.
That'll probably do it.
Yeah, and he's been doing it all night.
Yeah. I like the fight, though. I like the fight for the Warriors.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
As Wiggins drills a 3 to get the lead back to 10.
You would have just liked to have seen this, intensity in the third quarter instead of the fourth.
Yeah. The Warriors need a string of stops. They need a string of stops. This is a possession by possession game now. They need a string of stops.
I think this is going to be one where
as they get a stop there,
barring Dallas
2 minutes
the ball over, this is they're just going to run out of time here.
Yeah, I think so. Unless they just get uber hot from 3 right now, and the Dallas just can't buy a bucket in the last 2 minutes. I mean, it's still time left. I still think they run out of time, but unless Dallas just crumbles under pressure right now, they should walk out of here with a victory.
I mean, they can't have any more turnovers or anything like that. They need.
The Warriors have to score fast, and
Poole,
they just gave the ball. They just gave the ball away. Poole just gave the ball away.
Poole turns it over right there. That's probably going to do it.
That's probably going to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it looked like he got the switch that he wanted, but he wasn't able to get around the corner on Kleba, and then that was good defense. And Kleba has played really impressive defense for a lot of this postseason, which he didn't always show in his past. But that was a big stop right there. That's probably going to do it.
Yeah, that's probably going to do it.
45 left.
There's not enough possessions left in this game for him to come back.
Yeah.
I mean, what would we say?
29 though.
What would we say? They have about 3 possessions left, if that.
They might have maybe
4.
2. I don't know. It depends if Dallas takes them all the way down to the buzzer, and then if Golden State can get up a couple quick shots, they might be able to get a few more.
See, Dallas needs to play their game as Luka drives, penetrates, and easy deuce. I mean, this game is a wrap now at this point. Dallas is they just give away transitional buckets. The lead is back to 10, but it's just not enough time left for the Warriors.
Yeah, they do. Luka, he's back, but he's not all the way back. I mean, that's a pretty simple mistake. But being that Luka was also the one that was in the paint on the dribble drive, you would like to have another defender back there as well.
I mean, to me, this does wonders for the Warriors. I mean, Dallas clearly the foot is off the gas at this point in that early fourth quarter, and they had to put their foot back on that pedal to close out this game. If I'm the Warriors, I'm like, we erased a 29-point deficit, and this is nowhere near remotely near our A game, not even close. So if I'm the Warriors, I'm like, okay, we lost the game. We came back. We fought. We still lost by maybe 10, 12 points. But at least you can now take away and look at Steve Kerr. Like, okay, look what my second unit did. Why can't my first unit do that? So at least he has some tape to show. At least the second and third unit is fighting. And this first unit did give any effort. I would have been better off if they would have stayed with that second unit to see what they can do, second and third unit, instead of bringing back Steph and them. Like, I want to see what they can do. Tunde say they brought them to the dance. Let's see if they can close it out. So,
yeah, I get why you bring them back in that position, but
yeah,
I don't think it would have been a bad option either to keep those guys out there. I mean, either way, you're going to lose. So, I think it was worth a shot to put those guys out there.
How was that a foul on Wiggins? I'm sorry.
I don't know. They're both wrapped up.
He's clearly holding Wiggins. Wiggins is not wrapped up. He's holding Wiggins.
I feel like they were holding each other. I said I thought they were holding each other.
He had Wiggins' arms wrapped. How can Wiggins move? I don't know, but give all props to Dallas. They came out the more aggressive team. They deserve to win a game. Again, the Warriors did not deserve to win this game. They didn't play like they're supposed to. So in that case, you lose. But I still think the Warriors are. If I'm the Warriors, I'm still sitting pretty. But this is a hard-fought victory as Moody gets the steal and gets the. Is it a foul? Oh no, he stripped him.
Oof. And he looked back at him.
Yeah. As Klay Thompson and Luka is chirping a little bit. Yeah, that is a good win by the Dallas Mavericks. It's more closer than they would have liked. But all in all, the Dallas Mavericks, they had a game plan to me and they executed it to perfection. Other than that 7 to 8 minute stretch in that fourth quarter. We have game 5 on Thursday with Golden State up 3-1 with a chance to close it out. And Dallas has a chance to go and grab a back-to-back win to make it a 3-2 series. Last thoughts on this game, guys?
Go ahead, Tunde.
I honestly, I think for me, it's like the game plan in this game and the games 2 and 3 were not very different from each other. They just executed it better tonight. But I mean, offensively, it's clearly that they want Jordan Poole and Steph Curry to be involved in most of the primary actions they run. And then they want to go from there. And then defensively, I mean, it's clear that they want to, they're cool with switching, especially with Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber, who's done a really nice job in this series. They're cool with switching and kind of letting the results ride from there. And also that if the Warriors ever do decide they'll run pick and roll, they'll double the ball. But they don't do that. So okay. But yeah, I mean, if you're Dallas, you're encouraged by this game. You're also encouraged by the fact that it's the same game plan used for games 2 and 3, and you just made enough threes to win the game tonight. So,
Josh.
Yeah, I think the offensive game plan, with Luka leading the way, kind of stays the same, pretty much game in and game out. But it just kind of relies on can you hit these open shots. On defense, I thought they were a lot better tonight. They kept Golden State's dribble drives away from the basket a lot more. They were able to chase the 3-point shooters off. And then, also Golden State didn't shoot particularly well from deep either. So that had a factor in it. But, it's a good sign from the Mavericks, but I don't know if they're going to be able to turn this into anything more. I think the Warriors close it out on Thursday.
Gotcha. And I wanted to touch on one more topic before we wrap it up here tonight. As we know, the playoffs have had a lot of injuries. Do we think a lot of these injuries stem from the back-to-backs. I mean, not the back-to-back, but the one game off with it, because we've seen throughout these playoffs that teams only have one day off in between games. What are some of the things that you guys would like to see differently when it comes to the NBA regular season, the play-in tournament, and the playoffs? Because to me, I really would suggest eliminating the play-in game, but that really gives opportunities to some teams. So I don't want to necessarily say cut the play-in, but I think the play-in and then getting into the playoffs has had a negative impact on players' availability. I think too many players are getting hurt through this playoffs run, and I don't necessarily know if you necessarily can't predict that or fix it, but I do think that teams need more time to rest. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Shorten the regular season. I'm
To what?
we go 70. We could go 72 games. We could go 66 games. We could start the season at Christmas. I'm a proponent for shortening the regular season. I think it works all the way around. I think you'll get less of those games where people are disinterested in playing, which, I mean, if we're being real, that happens across the league sometimes. Yeah, I'm a proponent of shortening the regular season. I think that's the easiest way to get this done here.
Chas?
Yeah, I don't mind shortening the regular season. I don't want it to go to anything lower than 70, I don't think. I think that would kind of start to take away some of, how much the regular season does mean. And, I think you guys, just as much as me, really do enjoy watching regular season basketball. You take away 10, 12 games, I don't think it means much, but you take away 20, 25, and that starts to be like, okay, it's a whole different product now. As far as other things, I do like the play-in. I think I actually preferred it to how it was in the bubble, where it was only 8 and 9, I believe, and it was only if they were within, I think it was like 4 games, maybe. I forget how many games they had to be within, but I kind of like that, where it's 7, 8, 9, and 10. Danny, I do kind of agree with you. That seems like a lot. It's a lot of extra games. It's kind of like a whole, what is it? I think a 4-day period before the playoffs start, which are really exciting.
That eighth seed and that seventh seed automatically has to hop right into a series against that best team in that conference. It's not really a downtime or a rest for it. But the only problem. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it would probably be better if it was just between the two teams then, and then it's only one game, and then you probably have, 3 days off. I don't know that that's had a big effect on the injuries this postseason. I mean, we'd have to look at, were those teams involved in the play-in? It seems like a lot of teams have been hurt by this injury bug, if they were in the play-in or not. So, I don't know how much that would have an effect on it, but it is something that I feel like is going to continue to be tweaked over these next few years.
See, I don't know how you shorten the regular season, because then you're getting into TV money and you get into all the nuances of advertisement, TV money. These teams have deals with TV companies exclusively to advertise and show games on specific dates that they have set. So it's harder to shorten the regular season just because these owners are going to lose so much money if they did. And one thing that we know is these billionaires, they get up when our bottom line is affected. So cutting the season to 66 games, just think about how much money they lost during the pandemic season. And when we came out of that and they started to play again, how much they tried to get back some of that money. So the plan was designed to try to get some of that revenue back. So when you're talking about shortening the season to 66, I don't think that's feasible, because these owners are going to lose so much money: advertisement, TV deals, production costs, commercials. They're going to lose so much money if you shorten the season to 66 that they cannot recuperate that money back, even though they're billionaires. So I would suggest getting rid of the play-in, because if you're not going to be able to cut the regular season costs, like the games, then there needs to be a fine line of rest between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs. There has to be a period of players having ample rest before they start the playoffs. You can't just go from regular season to playoffs. Like, that's how players get exhausted. Exhaustion becomes fatigue, all this stuff. And then all the fatigue, it starts to become injuries, nagging injuries at first. Then it becomes serious injuries when you're not getting enough rest. So these games in between days, playing Tuesday, got to play again on Thursday. I mean, they have to figure something out because these teams are not getting enough rest. And I attribute a lot of, this Miami and Boston series literally banks on who's healthy. Like, the series is basically who's the healthiest team remaining. It's an infirmary. It's not a game. Like, all the Marcus Smart, Horford, Butler, Williams, all of these key players are getting hurt. Hero, Lowry, all of these key players are getting hurt. So it's taken away from the product on the floor because we're not legitimately getting to see who's the best team. And although we never get to see that when it comes to crowning a champion, we want the best possible product out there. So literally, I can go through every championship and put an asterisk next to every championship. The reason why I can't and I don't do that is because it's not fair to the team that won.
So you being a proponent of, thinking that the regular season may have an impact on these injuries, do you think shortening it would help that? I mean, if you shorten it
if you're talking to Danny, the fan, I'm saying shorten the season. If you're talking to Danny, the businessman, I'm like, I can't shorten the season because I'm losing billions of dollars of revenue.
Well, I think that isn't the CBA expiring, I think, at the end of the 2024 season. So I feel like, they're going to be able to reconstruct for some.
Let me tell you something. These owners are coming for these players.
These
owners are coming for the rest time and the days off. It all goes back to Kawhi. Like the load management, the not playing, like the sitting outs in more key games. Like, you have your key players sitting out in more key TV games. Like, imagine going to go see Golden State versus LeBron with no LeBron. Like, it takes away the magnitude of the game. Going to go see Giannis versus Steph with no Steph. It takes away from the game. So these owners are coming for these players because you're affecting their bottom line. And that's what it comes down to. And although this is a players' league, more than anything, because the NFL is predominantly ran by these owners. Like, these owners, they make all those chess moves. The NBA, the players make the chess moves. That's why we see superstars eventually land wherever they want to go. Like, if James Harden want to go to Brooklyn, you better believe James Harden is going to Brooklyn. He's going to find a way. So, I think you should shorten the season. The thing is, I'm looking realistically and saying these owners are going to lose billions of dollars in the process. And you shortening the season by 20 games, they're going to lose billions of revenue, billions of profit. Their stock market is going to drop because they're losing this type of revenue. They're not going to do it.
If you get a different deal with the TV contracts, and then you also implement, a mid-season tournament that they've been talking about for years. Those are a couple of ways that you earn back some of that money. I do think in the next, maybe 5 years, we're going to see the season shortened a little bit.
I just don't. It's a lot of restructuring that has to get done. You have to think about it. Like, if I'm Golden State, I have deals with TNT, and I have deals with NBA TNT. NBA, the NBA channel where they broadcast my games. So if I'm the owner and I'm going to the table and I'm like, okay, we're going to have it at the end of the day, it comes down to numbers. The Warriors have 45 televised games this year, the most of any team. I think it was close to 50. They had about 50-ish televised games this year, the most of any other team. If you went to Bob Myers to say, okay, we're going to cut your television games, we're going to cut that by 5 games. Look how much money he's losing in those 5 games because you're not broadcasting the product on TV. That's billions of dollars that he's losing in revenue, money, ad, Fed tickets. He's losing billions of dollars in just those 5 games. So the owners are going to take a massive hit if they cut this season down. The only way they can make up for it, like you said, if they're doing tournaments, if they keep the playing tournament, but that's adding so much more. Like you might as well just make the season 80, 82. If you're going to add mid-season tournaments, you might as well keep the games as is. In my opinion, if you're going to add the play-in mid-season tournament, then you're going to go from regular season you're going to go from half of the season to mid-season tournament to the rest of the regular season. Then you're going to go from that to the play-in to the playoffs.
That's what's going to happen.
That's so much. No, these are whoever go get into the final. This is going to be the boys.
Tired.
It's going to be a fight to the finish.
The war of attrition. Really a fight to the finish.
And you really got to be in the trenches, bro. It's going to be last man standing. Literally. I don't know. I just don't know what they do. And like I said, the owners are coming for these players in the next CBA because this I blame Kawhi because Kawhi started it, but that doesn't mean the players have to follow it. But Kawhi, he did it it actually didn't start with Kawhi. It actually started with Greg Popovich, where he decided to sit Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan and Kawhi Leonard on a prime time game.
That's the Thunder, yep.
Against the Thunder. He sent them right back. They came in the airport. He sent them right back. They went to Chick-fil-A. I said, oh my goodness. And that's where it all started. Pop started it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what these guys are going to do. Then it just got extremely overvalued because Kawhi started to do it more and more. And that championship run in Toronto, they threw the kitchen sink at him. They said, all right, take how much time you want to. If you're going to get delivered a championship, go ahead and take half of the season off. I'm for it. So the NBA started to look at that. Then LeBron started doing it. Then all these other stars started doing it. LeBron do it less, but LeBron does it. So, but these other players started doing it. Then you have people that wasn't even really they got smart with it. So they said, okay, we can't just sit you now. So now we're going to say that you have a sore shoulder, or you have sore ankles, or you have, some sore. It's not really major, but you can't play this game because you're sore. They started to get smart with it a little bit. I like that, but it ain't gonna last long. Yeah. But go ahead, Tony.
Also, let me correct myself here. I remember it wasn't I said it was the Thunder.
Miami, right? It
was the Miami Heat.
Miami, yeah.
It was also funny because it actually ended up being the game ended up being a very competitive game, which only made the league look worse than that.
Absolutely, because you set 3 future Hall of Famers, the greatest power forward of all time. You set these key players to. He was trying to prove a point, in which he proved the point. It just cost them what is going to cost these players in the CBA, because they're literally just now getting to it now. It took all that time. That was almost 9-10 years ago, almost a decade. That was a long time ago.
Probably 8 years ago or something.
About 8 years ago. So they're just now getting to the new CBA with dealing with that issue. That's how long it took. Because the CBA only come around once every blue moon.
When was the last time they renegotiated the CBA? Was that 16?
I think it was 16.
Yeah.
16. Okay. So I think it comes around every 4 or 5 years or so, something like that. No, it's every 6 years. It's something like that. It's some weird number. But yeah, they're coming for these players. I just don't know the state of the NBA and how it's going to look there, because I expect it to look differently next season. I just don't know. I just don't know the nuances. No one knows the nuances, but
they're talking about when that new CBA does run out that they're potentially looking at adding 2 teams out in Vegas and Seattle. So we're talking 3 or 4 years down the line. I think the league not only the play-in and mid-season tournament and all that, but also more franchises. Like it's going to look a lot different in a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you keep the same amount of teams you have and just move them to different cities, like they've done that before, because obviously OKC they used to play, they were the Sonics back then, but they were in a different state. It was the same team, but in a different state. They moved them to OKC. So
I mean, if it's me, I would probably. I mean, I guess put Vegas and Seattle out in the West and Memphis and Minnesota or somebody like that in the East. I'm not sure. I mean, I think you still want to keep it balanced so it's even.
It's funny because isn't Memphis is an East Coast team, right? But they play like they're East, but they play in the West.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the Southeast, but they're in the West. And I mean, Minnesota is in the Northwest, I guess, and they're in the West. So I'm not sure.
Midwest, right?
Yeah, I just don't know how none of us know how the state of the league will be in the next 12 months or so. Before that, honestly, October, but we just don't know the state of how things will be when it comes time to ramp back up in October. But it's going to be a sight to see because we expect at least some changes to how they do things right now. I don't think they're going to come back and be complacent like as is right now. I know Tunde, you spoke on shorten the season. Chaz spoke on shorten the season. I said I don't think they can do that. Chaz mentioned the mid-season tournament, which I've heard about that as well. I was a proponent of getting rid of the play-in. You guys were against that. Don't get me wrong, the play-in is entertaining. I just think it's I don't want to say it's unfair to the players that have to turn back around and play a series because you shouldn't be that low of a seed anyways, some people look at it, but that's the reality of it. I just don't think it's enough. My thing is I don't think it's enough time between games. That's my only problem. I don't think it's enough time for these teams to fully prepare for one another when you're going across the country, you're going to state to state. I mean, the Golden State Warriors they're traveling back to San Francisco tonight, I bet you. So I mean, there's just not enough game plan. Like, there's not enough time. And then they got to rest. And then at this point in time, they're not practicing. They're not doing full-on practicing. So they're doing
a lot of
meeting sessions, walkthroughs. Yeah. I mean, it's just so much. I just think if they gave them even an additional day, it would be better. But,
but then you're looking at a lot more day offs in the playoffs, which, they want to avoid that as well.
No, I'm a proponent of giving them at least 2 days off in the playoffs. The regular season is the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, for the TVs, you would have, let's say the Warriors didn't play Thursday, they played Friday this week.
But I think it's a way around that, though. I think it's a way.
Not when you're down to 2 series, though.
Oh, no. But I think it's a way that you could have a game every day in the NBA without ever having a game that doesn't have a game that day until you get.
But right now it's every other day, right? Yeah. For the entire conference finals, and you wouldn't have that in that scenario.
But I don't recall it ever being like this, though. I don't think last year it was every other day.
I think a lot of the time they would take an extra day off between like
5 and 7, right? 5 and 7,
6 and 7, yeah. But this year it seems like they're going strictly. I'm not sure why they made that change.
Yeah, like I remember it used to be every other day for the first 4 games. When it got to game 5, it used to be 2 games in between 5 and 6, and then 2 days in between 6 and 7.
Yeah,
like I don't know why they're changing all of a sudden having every other day.
And I think the finals is still like that, but for this conference finals, they must have wanted to have a game every single night, at least as long as they could.
I think the finals is it's the first 4 games. It's the first 4 games, and then I think the next one is like 2 games. I think there's even a stretch where they have 3 full days off, and I think it's between 6 and 7, maybe if it went that far. But I think it's like 16th, and then I think it's a game on the 16th. Then I think game 7 ends on the 19th. I'm not for sure, but I think game 7 will be the 19th, right?
Yeah, they have every single game is going to be 2 days off, except for game 4.
Game 4 has 3 days.
No, that would.
It's back to back. I mean, it's 1 in between.
Yeah, every other game is a 3-day difference, though, so 2 days off.
See, but that's different than last year, though, because last year between game 5 and 6 there was 3 days. In game 6 and 7 there was 3 days. So I think they change it up every year. I don't know why, but They change it up. So it's going to be fascinating. And you guys can catch us during the NBA finals as we'll be live streaming as many of those games as we can during that time. But it definitely should be fascinating to see how it moves forward. And we're happy to bring you guys remaining coverage of this NBA playoffs and into the NBA finals. Any last words you guys would like to say?
Just one last thing. I do think it was a really good hire, for the Minnesota Timberwolves to get Tim Connolly away from the Denver Nuggets. I thought that was a pretty big pickup.
What is the Lakers doing?
Oh man,
I don't like any of these options.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be Darvin Ham, right?
I like him a little. I like him better than anybody else that they've interviewed.
Ham would be good. Terry Stotts would be good.
No.
At all. Personnel.
Don't bring no Terry over here. Terry.
I would rather have Kenny Atkinson than Terry Stotts, I think.
Yeah, I would too.
Sure, I'd be fine with that too. But I mean, yeah, like I think all of the coaches that they're interviewing that are being reported I think all of the coaches that they're reportedly in talks with would be really good options.
No.
With the exception of Doc Rivers.
No.
I don't think that's the place to go. I'm going to be honest, I don't really think they want Doc Rivers. I think Doc Rivers wants them. All of the places. I don't think it's an accident that the places that I keep seeing this whole Doc Rivers to the Lakers thing pop up in are all people who are like connected to Doc Rivers. This seems like Doc Rivers angling to get out of Philly behind back channels, but that's my read on the situation.
I think Philly wants him to take the job too.
I think Philly do too, but I don't know. I mean, if I'm anybody, why would I want to go to Lakers? They're dysfunctional. I mean, these candidates. I mean, I don't like any of them.
Well, you want to go to the Lakers because when healthy, they probably still have the best 1-2 punch in the league.
That's a big question. That's a big if. If you're saying if Anthony Davis is healthy, that is a huge question, sir. And we haven't talked about Anthony Davis in months on this podcast. That is a huge question to say if Anthony Davis is healthy, because when has Anthony Davis ever played 60 plus games? I can't remember.
Yeah, he won a championship 2 years ago.
Did he play 60? That was okay. Okay. They had like 3 months off in between. I mean, come on now. I mean, don't bring me no bubble. Don't bring me no inside the bubble. Don't bring me that. But I don't like any of these choices, honestly. Like all of these choices could literally respectfully go kick rocks. Like none of these, I don't like none of these options. Like start all over, Lakers. Just start all over. Like swipe the clean a plate. Like go ahead and start over your coach's search, because your candidates that you have right now, no. None of.
I mean, these are the best candidates that they could get, right?
Mark Jackson.
I mean,
are you arguing for Mark Jackson?
Why is he not being considered as one of the top three for this vacancy?
He had lots of flaws as a head coach. He shouldn't be. I wouldn't want to hire Mark Jackson either.
Stan Van Gundy.
No.
Jeff Van Gundy.
We saw how bad. No, he hasn't coached in how long? Stan Van Gundy was terrible with New Orleans too. Like, we don't need him to ever be a coach again.
I love it. You were like, the Lakers have good head coaching candidates that they're interviewing. You're like, why aren't they interviewing all of these worst candidates who are retreads in the NBA?
All these commentators.
I mean, these commentators do better than what they got as options right now. I mean,
always a bad route to go commentator. That's what Steve Kerr was doing before the Warriors the Dubs hired him. But I just don't think especially Mark Jackson is the move. Not even just for basketball reasons.
Oh my God. Are you really going to bring up the religious aspect of this?
No, what?
Oh, I was about to say, because that's
I thought you might be too.
Yeah, that's as big as not. Is like the religious aspect of him. But
I mean, I objectively don't think it's great if he truly was trying to quote unquote force that on people in the locker room. But no, I was more talking about the behind the scenes stuff where apparently he was telling players in the team that like Festus Ezeli was actively trying to tank the team to the point where the team like had a big meeting about it and confronted him. Stuff like that.
I just don't. First of all, there's no good candidate, right, for the Lakers. I mean, obviously, no one they interview was really feasible for the job. I'm just gonna say that, but
why not?
Because like, who are the candidates again? Like, see, I can't even remember the candidates. See,
I think the finalists are Stotts, Atkinson, and Darvin Ham, I believe, right?
See, him. I think you give him a chance. But those other two, like I've seen what they can do. Why would I want that?
I think Kenny Atkinson's a pretty good coach.
Kenny Atkinson is a damn good coach and a really good offensive. As is Terry Stotts. That's
Terry Stotts.
Objectively something.
What did he do in Portland?
He got more out of them.
It wasn't.
What did he do in Portland?
That hasn't. The roster construction is not something.
Oh my goodness!
Coaches don't pick their rosters. They don't.
Yeah, I think Terry Stotts is a very good coach too. I think he would be my third option of the three. And I think that like guys like LeBron and AD would respond better to Darvin Ham, a former player, somebody that's been around the league, as a player and a coach for the last couple of decades. But I think pretty highly of the other two guys as well. I think
they have Kenny Atkinson. He's on our staff.
Yeah, I think Kenny Atkinson's a very good coach.
We don't need you going to go tell us how we run our place. Go tell them how to run. That's the enemy. That's the enemy. We don't need you to go over there and tell Steph's going to do this. Clay's going to. No, we don't need that. So you got to keep him in. You got to keep him in. At home. Yeah. You can't go over there. But the Lakers. Hey, hire Magic. Magic don't want the job again. Magic, hire Magic. He wasn't good. He wasn't good when he was head coach the first time. He's giving suggestions in the front office right now, anyways. And you got Phil Jackson back.
They got about 30 people that are giving opinions in the front office, which
and none of them should. Who don't need to be involved.
And none of them should. Phil Jackson shouldn't be giving anybody any tips on basketball operations.
Neither the Rambuses should. There's like
Rambus. I don't even know why Rambus got the job. Rambus got the job. He got to be a close friend or something.
His wife is best friends with Jeannie, right?
With Jeannie. Yeah. See, they got that based off the relationship and the connection. That's it. Because basketball wise, they shouldn't be making any type of decision.
The Lakers family, they keep it too much in the Lakers family to me. Like people that have played in the 80s. People that coached in the 90s, 2000s, like they don't need to have a say anymore. It's a completely different franchise.
The hilarious thing is that when they had a chance to bring in somebody who fit their whole like mom and pop family thing, and they had a chance to bring somebody in like that, and then they balked at the years on the contract for dumbass reasons. I'm talking about Ty Lue.
I was just about to say Ty Lue. No, they wanted to pick Ty Lue's staff. And Ty Lue wasn't having it.
I think they offered him a contract that he wasn't. He thought.
But also, they wanted to pick his staff. They wanted to pick his assistant.
Wanted to pick his staff, but they also only wanted to offer him a 3-year contract, which is not the standard NBA head coaching contract is 5 years. They wouldn't offer him an additional 2 years. It was a dumbass reason.
A championship winning coach.
Yeah, but hey, whatever.
I think the staff. The coach staff would have bothered me more than the years. Because I would have got the years, but the fact that you want to pick my staff, no, I'm sorry.
I think all of it, when you wrap it up into one neat little bow, just says we don't have you're not exactly starting off the relationship by showing confidence in the other party. That's going to be an issue no matter what.
So. That's fair. At this point, I don't even know how desirable that job is. But I wouldn't want it. I want it. And they're talking about. I know we gotta go, but I just wanted to get you guys' last take on this. So we haven't talked about the Lakers in months, obviously, because they're not in the playoffs. But there's been a lot going on right now with this team, and they're legitimately thinking about keeping Russell Westbrook. Like legitimately, is that the move?
No.
What can you do? But I still want to know your guys' opinion on it.
It's a horrible idea if they have the ability to move him. The other thing I keep seeing people say is like, his contract is untradeable. No contract is untradeable, especially not a giant expiring deal. There's gonna be at least one team in the league and probably multiple that see Russell Westbrook's deal and think, oh boy, we can clear the fuck out of our cap space with this. Maybe Indiana, maybe Charlotte. If Washington wasn't where he last was before he was traded, I would say Washington would be a great destination. Yeah, reportedly.
Did he just come back? Did he just go? What was that?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I would say did he just go? He just came from Washington. Washington didn't want him.
If he wasn't just coming from Washington,
nobody wants him, but the Lakers.
I don't think it's that nobody wants
him. I don't think they want him.
You think the Lakers want him?
No, I don't think they do.
I won't want him.
I think ultimately, a $47 million expiring contract is very valuable in today's NBA. That's what I'm saying.
I think so too, but I think they're probably going to have to attach a first round pick to it, which we know that they don't have until 2027. They've also been reluctant to even include that. I think if they are willing to part ways with that pick, they can probably get it done. But I mean, is this going to be a deal that can take them and make them a contender next year? I mean, what are you getting back from, for what Russell Westbrook right now? It's not going to be much more than a couple of role players.
Under any circumstance.
But that's what they need. Like reportedly, Charlotte would be interested in some package that would send Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward to LA. Those would be two really, really solid rotation players.
Yeah.
Like, can I say something? I don't know how to get this done, but if I'm the Lakers, I find a way to get this done. I mean, you budged on Buddy Hield. You budged on some other players that you could have got. You budged on DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan wanted to come with the Lakers, and you said no. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I don't know if it's so far out on a limb, but if you could somehow find a way to trade Russell Westbrook and you package him with some more players, maybe you have to give some of your young players away, which if they're going for all win now, I don't care. I get this player and then I restructure somehow, some way with some young aspects. But if I'm going to trade Westbrook and I'm going to get, some young players, trade with him, and I'm going to trade some cash with him, and I somehow, some way could get my hands on Zach LaVine, do you guys do it?
Sure, yeah.
You might be overpaying for Zach LaVine. You might be giving Westbrook away, but you might be giving away a lot more, like young talent, money, a lot. Like, if it end up being that's a James Harden type of deal, as far as draft picks, money, players, do you do it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that would have to be a 3-team deal, right? With Zach LaVine, he would have to be sign and trade, and Westbrook would probably go somewhere else. He probably wouldn't end up in Chicago. I think that's the only way it could possibly get done. I think that has to be the Lakers' number one option if they could somehow pull that off. That seems a little unlikely to me. I think LaVine probably ends up staying in Chicago. Tunde, I do like that trade idea. If they could get back Rozier and Hayward, or if they could get back Brogdon and Buddy Hield, one of those two deals, I think it would do a lot for them next season. But beyond that, they don't really have a lot of leeway. So they got to try and find a way to get rid of Westbrook. And I think they're going to have to attach that first round pick to it.
Tunde?
I think they will too. But I think that'll have to be a thing where they decide whether they want to stomach attaching that pick and having Westbrook on the roster come, start a training camp, or not doing that. My guess is that they'll figure it out.
Gotcha. Is there anything else the panel would like to say?
Nothing for me.
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously a lot going on, but we'll be back in 2 days.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot going on in the NBA right now. It's hot, but obviously, guys, we'll be back live this Thursday coming up to cover all aspects of the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference Finals. Just be mindful that we will put out a time on some of our social media feeds to tell you guys when to tune into that show for our live edition on Thursday. We don't have a time yet, but we will be going live on Thursday. But if that's it for you guys, let's sign out. Thank you for tuning in to this live edition episode of the Spoken Truth Podcast. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and consider subscribing to our Spotify account. All you gotta do is type in Spoken Truth Podcast in your search engine on Spotify. You can find me on Twitter at Danny Murphy Jr. 1.
You can follow me on Twitter at Chaz_post23.
And you can follow me at King Tunde 25.
Peace.
Cool.